Check my phone.
Get your phone off, everybody.
Phone is.
Mine's off.
Okay, are we ready?
I don't know. Technology.
Ready? Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to call the June 14th, 2020 Butler Community College Board of Trustees meeting to order. If you'd all stand now and join me for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our first item is the approval of the agenda. I understand we have some requested changes. So first, I think under, with agreeable to everyone, under C, we'll put the athletic insurance review.
That would be a board action item, right?
Under board action items.
Be 9C.
Need somebody to motion for that. I would move to add that to the action items.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and second. We'll call on everything. Okay.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungar is gone. Trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay. And then Shelby, did you have an addition?
I have 4 actually. So
Okay.
I move that the expenditure approval list from page 39 be moved to board action items. That's the fact that we get from, is it, how do you say your name again? I always say Soraya Wilson.
Saria?
Saria Wilson. It's the
I'll second
36
that.
pages of checks that were written last month. I just had some stuff to talk about.
Okay, so that's
Shelby?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I was too far back from my mic.
No, I can hear you fine. I just wanted to know why on the expenditures. I had a question on one.
Yeah, there were some questions I had. We had paid some money to Johnson County. We had paid $1,200 for iPod Pros. We had paid $10,000 for a monitor. So I was just going to ask some questions.
Okay, thank you. I just
Uh-huh.
wanted clarification.
Sure.
Next. You said you had 4.
Well, we've got to vote on that one.
Oh,
okay.
can't vote on
So,
them at once.
We need a motion and a second.
And
I
Second.
moved
Second.
And that is to move discussion for the some warrants under 9B. Correct?
Yes.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, next.
I had presented the board a thing from BKD about 3 months ago for informational purposes that we discussed. And I move that the BKD overhead and athletic analysis be moved to board action items. I just think it's as important as a board for us to tell the administration we have approved it and we want it on the schedule to be done. And have it be actually in writing that that's something we're looking to have done.
I'll second
I'll
that. I beat you.
Okay, we have a motion that would end up being 9E to move BKD. Let me get
It's the overhead and athletic analysis.
overhead and athletic analysis.
Mhm.
To the board action items.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes. And I had 2 more. I move that item D1 on page 41, the purchase of 21 Mac computers be moved to board action items.
I'll second that.
Can I ask why, Shelby?
I just want to point out that we're spending $4,000 per iMac for 21 of them. It seems a bit extravagant to me, and I don't want to vote no on the whole consent agenda. I just want to bring it up and
Okay,
be able to vote on it that way.
okay,
On the top of it, it says action item. It's just included in the consent agenda.
okay.
Okay,
Thank
we
you.
have a Second for 9E, to move D1 on page 41, purchase of iMac computers to the board action items.
Trustee Good,
Yes,
trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes. And my final one, I move that item E4 handshake from page 57 be moved to board action items.
Shelby, you're gonna have to explain it to me, please.
Yep. This one was $37,000 for us to have a special Butler portal to look for jobs. And I would just like to hear a little bit more about it, vote yes or no on it. And it is mentioned a couple or another place in the book. I forgot where it was off the top of my head.
Okay,
okay, so propose that as 9G, move E4 from the consent agenda, handshake to the action items.
Do you have a second?
Handshake for,
I'll second that.
Trustee Good,
yes,
trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
do we have any other motions to move to the board action items?
Is that not enough?
Hmm?
Is that
That's-
not enough?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so with those additions, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Why don't you say amended agenda? Okay,
I move that we approve the amended agenda.
I'll second.
thanks.
I second the amended agenda.
Trustee Good,
Yes,
trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
okay, the next item is recognitions.
I've got some good ones on the agenda again this month. We have Sonia Cox here with us, who you're the HR director at marketing. I'm sorry. Okay. So we want to recognize Jesse Pantoya, who's the service manager at Murphy Tractor, and Jordan Hines, who's the shop foreman. Neither one of them could be here for the meeting. And so Sonia's here to accept their recognitions. Murphy Tractor, of course, has been really instrumental in support for our diesel technology program. And they have just recently donated an engine, final drives, hydrostats, control valves, and a hydraulic tank to the diesel technology program. And they're part of the Diesel Tech Advisory Committee, active members and active supporters. And so Sonia, thank you for being here. Tell your folks thank you, and the whole company, we really appreciate your leadership and your support. So we've got some certificates for you to take with you to them, okay? Thanks so much. Mel Whiteside, who's the dean, and that dean is really good about sending on those names of people. So thank you, Mel, for doing that. I appreciate that. I also want to recognize Lindsay Fields. Lindsay wasn't able to be here tonight or to join us by Zoom. She's our lead biology instructor, but she's been accepted as an IDEAS fellow in the Biome, and Biome is the Biology and Mathematics Educators Institute for 2022. And their theme is Sparking Ideas, Inclusive, Diverse, Equitable, and Accessible Communities in STEM Classrooms. And so the goal is to create equitable and inclusive learning environments for all students that they're working with, and that the teachers would come back, to their own classrooms to empower these students as thinkers and as scientists and as citizens and innovators for advancing scientific discovery. They want to work with these instructors to explore new ways to foster a sense of community for the class as a whole, reduce barriers to participation, and engage all students and all perspectives, and let the instructors be empowered to not only be leaders themselves, but also empower their students to be leaders. BioQuest is the curriculum consortium that promotes this through and supports this through the 2022 Biome Institute. And they've been a leader in STEM education reform for the past 35 years. So there's a new and kind of renewed focus this year. And this is a pretty select group of educators. So we're proud of Lindsay for being selected, and we know that she'll bring great things back to the classroom for us. So we want to congratulate Lindsay. And then we have a great group of folks that we want to recognize that were busy and active in the cleanup after the Andover tornado. And I'm gonna, you wanna hang on to those for me and help with that? Chris Miller in IS kind of organized, I think, mainly the group, didn't he, pretty much? And so there were a number of us that went over on Tuesday morning after the tornado on Friday. I think it was Friday night, wasn't it? The 29th. And then we had some football players and football coaches that joined us that afternoon as well. I'm gonna get those to you, so I'll talk about you here for a second. With the check-in process was kind of slow that morning, and so we really kind of stood around quite a bit of the morning and got our address for the home that we were going to just right before noon. And it happened to be Jim Howell's home, our former trustee, who had some very significant damage, especially in his yard, some damage to the house, but really we worked out in the yard and did a lot of cleanup out there. And so wanted to recognize all the folks that were involved in that cleanup. It was a pretty eye-opening and pretty humbling, and I don't know, I guess I'd never been in that situation before where I'd been at a location like that so soon after a tornado where there'd been so much damage. And so I was pleased that we had some folks go over to help and appreciated Chris's work. So we had Kyle Thompson, Matt Jacobs, Becca Lill, Brian Hickey, and some of these folks are here. So raise your hands if you're here and Bill will give you your certificates. Jacob Meyer, Adam Dewall, Laramie Wolford, Jim Taylor, Chip DeFriend, Joe Brazel, Christina Byram. Tom Neville was there, but he didn't do anything. Well, because we most of the morning we waited in line to get our approval, and he had another meeting in the afternoon. So he kept us entertained in the morning, but he didn't ever do any work. But that's okay. I just want you to know he was there. He was there and he intended, but he just didn't get a chance. Yeah.
Does that
Amy-
mean no certificate?
He told me to take, I got it. I made one for him, but he said to take it off of the list. So Amy Kirshner, Tim Logue, Joe Lisak, Mike Epperson, Pat Wilson, Bill Young, and Sherry Connard was the kind of the crew from IS that went along, and I went as well. And then the football team, some of the football folks came a little bit later on and joined us in the afternoon. Bryce Veneri and Dallas Thompson, coaches, brought along a great group of guys. I'll pass this picture out. There's those folks standing on the cement pad, I think, that of what used to be one of Jim's garages. But along with Bryce and Dallas, we had Bud Crawford, Cale Hauserman, Caden Cox, Jalen Travis, Quavez Humphrey, Dante Daniels, Cooper Lovelace, Zach Wittenberg, Mason Thrash, Chance Omley, and Carson Arndt. Those are all students, but they aren't here this summer for classes or anything. So we want to recognize all of these folks and say thank you for that effort. I know that it was appreciated. Howells appreciated the work and the commitment, and I think it was especially special for them that it ended up being a Butler crew just by chance. So anyway, thank you everybody for doing that. I think I also I may have told you, Allie Valentine, who is Allie Valentine Brown. No, Allie Valentine Brown, who is the administrative assistant in Bill's area, administrative assistant to Bill. She and her family lost everything. They were our only employee that we know of that lost everything. And so there's been a nice effort to help Allie and her family as well, kind of get back on their feet. So anyway, that's what I have. Thank you.
Okay, next we have public comments. The general public is welcome to address the Board of Trustees under the public comment section of the regular board meeting agenda. Personnel issues are prohibited from public comment. The board chairperson will ask visitors wishing to make brief comments, I guess I will ask you, to identify yourselves and the topic that you wish to address. If several members of one group or organization wish to speak to the board concerning the same item, the board chairperson may ask the group to identify a single spokesperson. A time limit of 5 minutes has been set for each recognized member or spokesperson of the audience to speak to the board, and the board will take no action during the public comment period of the board meetings. However, it will take under deliberation the matter, if appropriate, and direct the president to follow up with a written response and report at the next regular board meeting. At this time, I have, I think we had Tia Ton and Jeff Whitey. So Jeff, do you want to start? And if you can give us your, come to the podium and state your name and the reason that you're here.
Good afternoon, Board Trustees. I appreciate you hearing what I have to say today. My name is Jeff Whitey. I am a resident of Augusta. My address is 610 Stonegate Circle. I am here today to talk about property taxes, the college, and tuition and fees for students in county and out of county. So first, I'd like to share with you that in 2005, I graduated from Butler Community College with a liberal arts degree. I went on to WSU to earn a bachelor's in computer engineering and a master's degree in computer science. I was a band scholarship student. So I got a full ride tuition, and I really appreciate that program. I was definitely invested in the community. I think that the Butler County Community College does a lot of good things for us. I think that there are positive impacts. I did, however, I also do want to commend the board on their reduction in the fees that they charge on property taxes. It looks like there was about a $1.5 million reduction year over year from the 2020 to the 2021 tax year. And I think that that's good progress, but I think that there's more work that could be done here. So I'm looking at my property tax statement and I can see that, I saved about $70, but the college, they took in about $13 million from county residents in that tax year to fund their operations. This accounts for approximately 26% of the budget. Assuming a $50 million budget basis, I don't know exactly what that is. I could not find that information while I was preparing my comments. But I also found this Butler by the numbers, which is a little bit out of date, but that is the most current information that you publish on your website. It says that the total student enrollment is 11,258, and it says that approximately 21% of all of the enrollment are Butler County students. If you were to assume an approximate enrollment and ratio of county to out of county residents today, then we're still funding the college at the rate of about $5,500 annually per enrolled Butler County resident student. That is far above the tuition rates. I was able to look up the tuition rate. It was quoted as $76.15 a credit hour for Butler County residents and $96.65 for out of county residents of Kansas. And so there's like about a $20.50 difference between, in county and out of county. But, the total tuition for a full load would be running somewhere around $1,500. Yeah, because once we include student fees. And so my point is that as a Butler County resident with 3 girls who I do plan to also eventually enroll in Butler County, that tuition rate is much higher than it would be if I was an out of county resident. If I was an out of county resident, then I could move to Sedgwick County. I could send my kids to Butler. I would pay a much smaller difference in tuition rate, especially when you consider the tax that's collected over many, many years. So I would just encourage the Board of Trustees to consider the structure of the taxes that you put on Butler County residents. I think that Butler County is underperforming compared to counties in the surrounding area. If you can move to Sedgwick County and you can pay $500 less in taxes, that is $500. I know that sounds small in the grand scheme of things, but I think that it's pretty clear as an Augusta resident, we're not growing. I'm not saying that Butler County is the sole factor in that, but I certainly think that it is a component of multiple things. And I just wanted to ask the trustees to consider these things that I've brought to your attention as you make your budgets for future things and as you understand the schedule fees for students. And I think that Butler County residents are not getting a good piece of that pie that we contribute. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Tia Ton.
Sorry, that was my timer.
Maybe if I start talking fast, they won't have the timer started yet.
Would you pass those down?
My name
Julie.
is Tia Ton, and I reside at 5611 Northeast Satchel Creek Road, El Dorado, Kansas. It is up by Cassidy, but I still have an El Dorado address. And I am here today to share with you about the upcoming Farm to Fork event. And it is our 7th year. And the reason that I'm sharing this information with you is because if you take a look at the information, and I have to say, thank you, Kelly, and your interns for helping put this together. Our event has grown from 8 years ago when I approached the board and said we need to celebrate the most unique county in our state, not only the largest, but the most unique because we are so different. We're Wichita Light on one side, and we're really Bonanza on the other side. And we need to bring it together and have the opportunity to have our own population better understand each other. And over the last 8 years, 7 of which we've had this Farm to Fork because it took the first year of planning, we've done just that. And it is a fundraiser for the Ag in the Classroom program for here students, hundreds and hundreds of students across Butler County. Now, if you look at each and every event that we have, what is one thing that is in common throughout each event? The color purple, folks. You cannot hold any of these events without all of the wonderful people that are either actively involved with Butler or have been graduates of Butler. So let me highlight some of the events that we have this year. First off, starting our 8-day festival this year, which kind of makes me take a deep breath and think about, I really need a vacation. Maybe I should take it like July 15th and take it for 9 days and just skip town. But our first event is the Family Ag Venture. And that's where families can, for only $10 for an individual or 15, download a map with over 30 different locations, farms, ranches, ag businesses, spend the entire day learning Butler County from one end to the other about agriculture. And a lot of the different locations that they'll be going to are either Butler County grads or they're involved in Butler County. One of the places highlighted again this year will be your ag department. So we're excited about that. We have a great working relationship with Joe and his team over there. And winning a $200 gas card is kind of a fun incentive this year that we're adding along there. We have value-added workshops. That's going to be held in the location of Bullseye Farms. You know her as an employee, Lori Bruce. And that's a new aspect that we're bringing to Butler County and helping farmers and ranchers or people that want to become farmers and ranchers get their start. We also have a farmers aftermarket and then a brand new exciting event, charcuterie with chefs, and your own brand new chef, Scott Peggy, will be having a charcuterie board there. And I practice that until my sleep so I can say it correctly. And sometimes I even spell it right. We'll have a board that evening. And so come on out, help us celebrate, bid on the boards, and eat your way through all of the wonderful food that evening and enjoy some of the locally produced beer and wine and help us raise funds. We have an ag art show. We are looking for more entries. We know you folks know a lot of all age levels of art that would have to do with agriculture. Please send them our way. And then the big event, our jewel event that you folks are used to, our bus tour. And that's really an ag venture. That is a typo that I didn't catch for Kelly, and so I'm catching it now. Kelly, help me out. It's an ag venture. So, and so poor gal, she has read more texts, and I just love the fact that the interns are getting experience working with somebody on a big event like this. I think it's wonderful that we've teamed up this year. So we will be going north of 54 Highway this year. Can't tell you all of the locations. Learned my lesson the first year when I gave out where the lunch would be, and a lot of people showed up without lunch tickets. Won't be doing that again, but it will be a lot of fun. So we hope to see you there. And then of course, our big event that Chef Luis, Chef Alicia, and Chef Scott will be putting on with all the great culinary students, the big Bounty of Butler feast at Fulton Valley Farms. Done?
Done.
Okay. See you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have standing reports, Student Government Association report. We have none tonight. Operational staff report, Lisa Boland.
All right. Good afternoon. OpStaff Recharge Day is happening this Friday at the Sedgwick County Zoo. We have 38 members who have decided to take a walk on the wild side and join us for a fun-filled day full of learning, networking, relaxing, and recharging. We are also currently accepting applications for the Operational Staff Book Scholarship. Interested individuals can apply online to the foundation website, but don't delay as the deadline is August 1st. To qualify, applicants must be a member of operational staff or be an immediate family member. Last year, we were able to award 3 students with $500 apiece to help cover the cost of their books. Our next operational staff meeting is this Friday, June 17th. That's all I have for you.
Okay. Next we have quiz report. No, Terry, but someone else instead.
Not that we know.
Okay. Board Finance Committee report. Mary Martha was via Skype or Teams or whatever. Zoom. But if you look at the page 74, you'll see that this is a report through May 31st of 2022. And I think one of the questions we had about where were we going to end up with on, for instance, local support or local sources. At the time this report was made, the June allocation from the county hadn't been received yet. And we are at after we've received that, then we anticipate that we had a shortfall of just $80,000 total. Most of the rest of the report gives you the indication that by the time we finish June, we will come in overall under budget. So, be able to see more specifics on that at the end of the year. But I think I understood that because they're closing books and so forth, maybe we won't get this report next time. Is that right, Kent? Okay. But we'll have a chance to take a look at that. Questions? Kent? Okay, KACCT quarterly meeting report, Kim.
I attended, Kim didn't attend, wasn't able to attend. I was at the KACCT June quarterly meeting in Colby. And this overview is from Heather Morgan, and I'll email it out to you so you have a copy of it as well. The first afternoon, we heard a presentation from Ad Astra Higher Education Consulting about scheduling optimization project, which allows colleges to see which sections of courses might be underutilized and therefore could be eliminated, or courses which are overfull and new sections may need to be added. We received a final 2022 legislative session update relating to updates to the Kansas Promise Act, the tax credits which were approved for community colleges, a pilot program which was approved for career and technical education, and all the different budget appropriations approved for community colleges. Senator Karen Tyson joined our group by telephone to discuss the tax policy that was passed this session, CAPERS funding, and what the legislature's 2023 tax plan might look like given the continued historically high revenue collections. She also mentioned that she's running for the state treasurer in November and wants to focus on the benefits of the 529 education savings account that'll provide for families to save for their students to attend college. CERP, the Kansas Educational Risk Management Services, which we'll talk about in a little bit with our insurance, presented about property and casualty insurance to the group. Noted a number of the Kansas school districts are participating and in the last year are now providing that opportunity for colleges to join if they're interested. Senator Rick Billinger joined the group for dinner and was presented an award from our group for being a champion for the two-year educational sector and to recognize his leadership as the Ways and Means Chair. Seth Carter, who's the Colby president, did a keynote address, and that's typical whenever we're on one of the other campuses. The president provides information about their college and provides a little bit of a keynote address. Jihong Lee, who's the CEO of the American Association of Community College Trustees, presented on upcoming changes at the organization, including an electronic portal that all member trustees will be able to access online. There'll be they're starting with a new program where there'll be a limited number of free facilitated board retreats that they'll be doing in the next few years. He promoted their fall conference in New York and presented some of the challenges facing community colleges, stressed the need to eliminate low performing programs, and really talked a lot about the career and tech areas. Heather Morgan presented on the KBOR strategic plan, the National Student Success Initiative, and the barriers that our colleges are facing regarding enrollment and retention. She also presented some information on an economic analysis that had been shared with the Kansas Chamber workforce that focused on the critical nature of community colleges and the development of the state's workforce. We had some discussion about the community college budget request that we have to submit to KBOR, some of the state issues that are coming up, including legislative post audit that's been proposed regarding athletic programs at the community colleges. And then we talked about the KACCT 2023 budget and dues structure. The next meeting's in August in Fort Scott. So there you go.
Next report would be the foundation board report. Forrest or Kim?
Yeah, I've got that here. Let me open it up. Okay, so the board, the foundation board met in May Some financial updates. The fair market value of the foundation endowment as of March 31st is about 15.5 million. This is a decrease of about 825,000 from December 2021. Total net of fees was 5.09% to the negative. Overall, the foundation has had a strong year financially. Year prior, completed a record-setting benefit auction in March. For those that were able to go, it was a wonderful time and lots of money supporting a great cause. And during a volatile market, which will impact earnings from the endowment, the foundation board is secure in using the past 5-year average rate of return as a basis for scholarship disbursement. So they're still comfortable dispersing scholarship funds. Let's see, the foundation board ratified the operating budget for 2022-2023. The foundation entered into a loan agreement with Commerce Bank to manage the cost of the construction project, which I believe is the culinary building, and then cash flow from pledges that are supporting that project as they come in. All vendors will be paid by August 30th of this year. August 16th is going to be the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Redler Institute of Culinary Arts. Trustees will get invitations mailed to them as it gets closer. And then on the personnel side for the board, Mike Clifton has been the treasurer on the board. He's been on the board for nearly 30 years. He tendered his resignation, and Alan Jack's term expired. This will expire this month. He's been a past president on the board as well and a longtime foundation director. Dan Davis has joined the foundation board effective August 30th. Dan is a El Dorado resident and a pharmacist at El Dorado True Care. So funds raised July 1 to May 11th. So July 1 of last year to May 11th of this year is about $5.5 million. And that is all that I have.
Thank you. Next, we have the president's report.
Okay. I had Tia Ton on my list, but that was great that she presented on Farm to Fork. And that I know Julie and Shelby were there last year. It's really a fun event. And the whole day is fun if you get an opportunity to go. But
Cool.
yeah, it was hot and it's outside. It's at Fulton Valley Farms and it's outside. So wear cool clothing, but it's really neat because our culinary students are, doing the meal again this year. So it's always fun. We will have coming up sometime this fall, an updated NRP from Augusta. They are getting ready to, they're talking about it at the city level now and at the commission level, but they want to have us consider a 5-year program rather than the 3-year program that's currently in place. Cody Sims and I emailed back and forth a little bit. And so at some point in time, I think in the next couple of months, we'll see that NRP on our actual agenda for approval. But I just wanted to let you know that that'll be coming forward. We just have signed in the last couple of days a great agreement with Wichita State University. Kansas Board of Regents last year approved an opportunity for up to 75 hours now to transfer from the community college level to the 4-year institution level through specific agreements that we make with our 4-year partners. But again, as a opportunity to create really streamlined pathways for students and save them money, and kind of do some dual advising. And so the first one that we've signed with Wichita State is from our Associate of Science degree to their bachelor's degree in business administration. And so our Butler students can take up and transfer up to 75 credit hours. They've aligned the associate degree with the bachelor's degree. So there's a really defined crosswalk. And so we're excited about that and pleased that that's our first one, but there will be more to come. We have an opportunity to bring in from ACCT some folks to help us with training again. A couple of the dates that have been proposed, it would be Ken Burke and Mary Spildy that would come in. They're available August 12th and 13th, which would be like we did with Brad Eversole, a Friday afternoon and evening for dinner, and then Saturday morning. or August 15th and 16th, or if we need to push it into September, we can do that as well. But those are the August dates that they have available now. And I need to know from you folks what might work on your end so that we can start to get that on their schedules. Any thoughts on those?
I'll have to ask my wife.
Huh?
I'll have to ask my wife.
Okay.
If you could email me,
Why don't I do that? I'll email and then you guys can respond to me in the next few days and we'll start to,
That way we
Get
can
that
look at our
narrow-
calendars.
yeah. Okay. And if we have to push it into September, that's fine. We can do that. But I also want to let you know that on the 21st of June at 1 p.m., the academic deans and myself and a few folks are going to tour the new training space that we have at the correctional facility. And you're invited to come if you want to. You have to be out there by 1 or meet here at 12:45 if you want to ride a van, right? Okay. I got that
No
on here. The dress, and they're very specific about it. The dress is business casual, long pants, closed-toed shoes. You have to leave your cell phones and your keys either in your car or in a little locker there. And so if you want to join us, please let me know so that we're not waiting around wondering if you're coming or not. So 12:15 here. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have those times right. Okay, so 12:15 here. All right. Huh? Oh, Heather. Oh, thanks. Thank you. So where are you meeting? This building?
So
Okay.
next Tuesday.
If you want to go, June 21st, 12:15 here. So we're out at correctional facility. If you want to take yourself out there, you got to be out there by 12:45. Okay. And they will show us the new, the space that they've built out for the training programs. We'll get to see some of the other training that they do out there on a guided tour. I know that there was some, Julie had some question about the meeting videos being posted. And I think Forrest indicated to you that we would talk about that in my presence report. And we can, we can facilitate that internally, trying to get, I think you wanted the videos posted by 10 a.m. the morning after the meeting.
Yeah, I think is that plenty of time?
Well, I mean, sometimes they have to be edited a little bit, but we could, we could get them done that next day or within the a couple of days after the meeting. They're available on YouTube right after the meetings. You can go to YouTube and see
Right, but-
they're there.
What do you mean edited?
We start the recording a good 5 minutes before, just because we had feedback that sometimes the live stream starts a little bit. There's a delay. So we start at 5 minutes ahead of time. So we go ahead and cut that 5 minutes of us just talking.
Is that all?
People moving
Yeah,
around.
that's all we cut.
Okay.
And then for the work session last month, we had an issue with we saved the recording to the local drive instead of the cloud. And it was supposed to be on my computer, but ended up on his. So
Yeah.
there was a delay in posting that because we couldn't find the recording,
Yeah.
but we found it.
But if you're talking 10 the next day, you're giving somebody 2 hours.
Well, they come in, yeah,
Come in and do that.
I mean, I can't post it because I don't have access to the website. So I have to have somebody else do it for me. And, I don't know, I guess I would ask for, the board's discussion about, could we have them posted like within 2 days after the meeting? Is it critical that they be posted?
I don't see that it's that critical to have it 10 minutes or 2 hours the next day. I don't think that there's that many. Well, I don't think there's that many people. I think that there are a lot of people who view us now in live stream time, but I don't know how many views we have
You can just,
after.
I think you just go to YouTube and type in Butler.
BC TV 20.
Butler
BC.
TV 20. That's how I mean, I can go back and see it
Mhm.
and relive it if I want to, but
Well, respectfully, the only reason that I would ask that be posted there is because we have all of our records there from the meeting. I can't see with those. I'm sorry. We have all of our records posted from the meeting. You know, it includes the minutes and the agenda and so forth. And since those are where we have arranged to post them, you know, I don't care if he needs 4 hours, that's fine. If he needs 24 hours, I just want a time so that I could tell people they'll be available on the website at such and such a time. I don't think everybody is going to tune into Butler TV. I think a lot of them just go to the website. That's where people talk to me about the agendas. So I would like to have them posted with it, you know, by 10 o'clock, but what is it to post? I mean, how hard is it? They say you have to edit the first 5 minutes. I get
There's some
that.
editing, there's the upload time. Here's my concern with the 10 a.m. the next morning.
Okay.
You know, I'm keeping my staff here late. They're, you know, and so it depends on how late the meeting gets out.
You need 12 a day, 2 days?
My concern is keeping staff here late. I just want to make sure that we're not piling them on
Right.
in the morning because
Crowding.
there's other priorities that we all have. And so I want to get it worked in. I think that it's probably likely that I don't have any qualms about committing to, you know, 2 days for him to, I mean, I don't know. If he's on vacation the next day, then I got to get another staff in there because we don't have redundant staff sitting around. So it's just things. I want to make sure that I'm not going to tell you, I don't want to tell you, Julie, that we'll have it done by 10 o'clock and then not get it done and then get, you know, beat up in here for that. I think that we've got, you know, if we get more staff 24 hours to done.
That's
2
fine.
business
The only
days or
thing I'd
whatever.
ask that if it is going to take 24, and I get that, I really do, especially since we do stay late, is can we put a note that says video will be available within 24 hours of meeting, 48 hours posted, 48 hours later, 24 hours later.
So are we talking about the video being on the SharePoint?
On the website, on the
website where the
Board of
agenda is
Trustees
kept.
website
Is this just work sessions that we're talking about?
Yeah.
and regular meetings and
No,
stuff.
it's regular meetings too.
Yeah. They're on YouTube, yeah.
No, I'm
Could you
talking
just-
about all the public meetings.
All the meetings, regular board meetings are available on.
Is there, just put a link to YouTube, like, hey, here's
Well,
the.
That'd be fine.
And then this will be posted this week, but here's your YouTube link if you need it now.
but that's what Brian does. When I send that to him to have him post it, he posts there because there's a meeting video link already there. And he posts the link in that, and all you gotta do is click on it and it takes you to the YouTube video. But it's,
No.
yeah.
Right.
To
Okay.
YouTube.
That's it, because that's where all of our records are officially, I guess. You know, the agenda is there and the meeting minutes and yada, yada. So,
But I think, I guess, again, I think that within, 24 hours should be workable. I mean, we'll do our best. It's,
Thursday morning at 10 a.m.
unless you just want to post a link.
Well, links are
that's what
posted.
we post. But somebody has to go in and connect them.
No. We
I would,
embed the
So
video.
you're streaming it live on YouTube and then you,
to me, with
Clean
the
it up and
shortage
then
of
post it on
people and
YouTube.
stuff, 48 hours after the meeting.
Well, I think that's too long.
Okay, 24 hours after the meeting.
Fine. I think it's really too long, but if that's the best I can get, it's the best I can get.
this isn't an action item, we're just talking.
I
No,
just want
this is
some
what-
direction. No, because
She
I
needs direction
was
because I'm
in
always
trouble because
asking
it
her.
wasn't posted.
No, you were not. I'm always asking, when will this meeting be posted? Because people do get on the next day or so and look for that meeting and they can't find it. And so it'd just be easier.
And so do they, I'm just asking, just help us understand. So they let you know that they can't find it. Do you direct them to BCTV
Yeah, I
where it's
tell them
at?
BCTV.
What's out there? So
I
mean,
know,
If they
I
can't
know.
find it.
I'd be fine with a couple of days, but that's just me.
Another solution would be just to post a link directly to the BCT TV 20 YouTube page, and the meeting would be there. Every meeting would be there rather than each specific meeting.
Well, the website directs people to board agendas and meeting minutes
Right.
and all of that sort of stuff. So
I know.
Oh.
we'll figure
But if
something
it's
out.
gonna take, if it's gonna take a long time, maybe she's right. Maybe that would be the best thing to do is just make a link to that page and there they all are and you can pick out which meeting you missed. You want to look at.
Hey,
No, we'll get them posted.
Did we decide how long?
Well, we're going to work to do it within 24 hours after the meeting.
That'd be great.
I think let's be clear here. This is not a hard and fast deadline. I'm going to be really disappointed if after this discussion in 2 months from now, something happens and there's a delay and someone wants to criticize Dr. Kroll and her staff because it was, 5 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon instead of by 10 o'clock Wednesday morning. The administration is doing their best to get this thing posted as quickly as possible, and we should all be happy with that.
Well, I understand your point, Forrest, and it's well taken. I just don't happen to agree, but as long as we all know it'll be within 24, we have a disaster recovery plan, right? So if the tornado flattens the whole campus, we know it's going to be a few days before that does get up. So I think we're all reasonable enough to understand that. I don't think it's a locked in thing. I think it's a normal expectation of 24 hours. And then if something happens, then she can let us know, hey, all of IT is on vacation. Might be a day late.
I also have asked Kent to do a BKD update as part of my report.
Yeah, we want to just bring you up to speed on where we are on the program economic analysis timeline. We're in the deployment stage. It's taken us a little longer to get here than we had hoped. And I think a lot of that has to do with our running short-staffed in our accounting department. We've had at least one position open for the last year. Actually, yesterday was the first day we had all our accounting staff on hand and in the positions hired. The key problem probably was when Kim Sherwood was recruited away from us. And Terry Potter is doing an excellent job coming in, but everybody then has to be trained. So right now we're in the phase they call review, feedback, and modify. We all have all the data entered. The model has been built by the BKD programmers. And the next step, we have we have an internal team meeting this Thursday to talk about sort of where we're heading, how we can, try to get this wrapped up. But we have a meeting scheduled with the deans on July 5th. And they're a key component or key group to get this going, because we think one of the main ways this is going to be beneficial is for it to be used in the program analysis that the deans do during the budget process in the fall. So this is a key time for us to move forward with that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. I would say I know that you're going to talk about the overhead and the athletic modules. And I have been in discussion with David Armstrong, our representative. Haven't got into the details yet of when we might get on their schedule. We really want to, have been focusing on trying to get the economic analysis wrapped up, and those will be pieces that we can implement then after that.
Thanks, Kent.
Okay, Educational Facilities Authority report.
It'll probably be August before we have our next meeting.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to report.
Okay, moving forward, monitoring reports.
Tom, Dr. Neville's going to provide an update. Phil's in the hospital and not able to join us, and so Tom is going to provide the update for you.
All right, hold on tight here. Okay, so the Division of Academic Support and Effectiveness is under the leadership of Dr. Dean Dr. Phil Sperry, and that encompasses adult ed, the coordination of our AVID program, which is our advancement via individual determination program, faculty development at the college, honors, Phi Theta Kappa, personal development courses, testing centers, and tutoring programs. Each of these programs and services are part of a best practice system of academic support for a community college and address standard accreditation expectations. This division also serves as academic administrative consultant for the curriculum team and co-chairs our inclusion council. So the Office of Academic Support and Effectiveness also oversees and facilitates all required processes and procedures to maintain current federally mandated institutional accreditation through HLC, Higher Learning Commission. You're all familiar with that. Majority of work this year will be focused on the continuation of preparation for our comprehensive evaluation visit in April of 2023. The assurance narratives and the evidence files which support the visit and all that comes with it. So the Division of Academic Support and Effectiveness is responsible for coordination of institutional evaluation of the effectiveness of our academic programs. This includes the development, implementation, and supervision of all academic assessment and academic continuous quality improvement, to include our institutional general education assessment, program learning outcomes assessment, departmental academic assessment, and learning pact individual student assessment across the institution. So this division also serves, the dean also serves as academic co-chair for the implementation of the Aviso retention process, which is also our institutional improvement project, which we were required to submit for continued HLC accreditation. Aviso was submitted to HLC as our open pathway quality initiative, which I'm very proud to say we just last week received notice that it was accepted by the commission based on our genuine effort of the institution, the seriousness of the undertaking, the significant scope and impact of work, the genuineness of the commitment to the initiative, and the adequate resource provision. And just as a side note, this initiative process encourages institutions to take risks, innovate, take on a tough challenge, or pursue a yet unproven strategy or hypothesis. So as a result of our work with Aviso, certainly goes out to the work, dedicated work of our faculty and staff. So a great report from HLC for our work there. Adult education at Butler designs and delivers programs and services that meet the basic education, high school equivalency testing, English language literacy, and transition needs of students as part of the federal and state Adult Education and Family Literacy Act, and a grant as part of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act legislation. Of significance, Adult Ed received part of a Kansas Department of Corrections contract to provide adult education services to adult offenders at the El Dorado Correctional Facility. And also on page 6 of the board book, you'll see a graphic which additional highlights and accomplishments this past year. So the Office of Assessment also supervises the assessment of student learning achievement at the college-wide program-specific and discipline-specific levels to assist the faculty in the improvement of student learning and to facilitate the college's meeting of external assessment expectations. So a principal focus for assessment efforts continues to be the facilitation of our program pathway learning outcome assessment as required by HLC to meet our criterion for expectations. The Office of Assessment has worked with several departments this year to implement co-curricular student learning outcome assessments in accordance with these new HLC guidelines. So page 8 of the board book outlines our PACT assessment data, which stands for Personal Development, Analytical Thinking, Communications, and Technology for fall 2021. This shows that we met assessment expectations across all courses that were selected based on faculty evaluation of student work on major summative assessment tasks. So we're doing
a quick question on that. Just read it. Is this a teacher just grading the students on a 3-point scale on how they feel they're doing on these items here? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, correct. So these would be assessments of tasks that were kind of outlined in that particular course, and then student success on that. So the mission of the Butler Avid program is to facilitate a transformative model for student success across the curriculum that focuses on engaging pedagogy, faculty development, student tutoring, and student support services. Avid aims to help students take on greater personal responsibility for managing their own academic success and ultimately to improve student learning, retention, and completion. So an item of note there, Butler has been recognized by the Avid in Higher Education program for our outstanding advancement of all the essential elements of that program, and is also working with AHE, which is the Avid in Higher Ed, to secure a multi-year grant through which we would become Avid's first national post-secondary mentoring institution, where we would work with other AHE institutions to establish best practices as they begin their own Avid programs. So we're excited about that opportunity. Definitely would be a differentiator for us here at Butler. The curriculum team, they were very busy this last year. They facilitate faculty developed curriculum that provides intellectually rigorous and eminently practical learning experiences for students that are consistent with the mission, learning packed skills and purposes of Butler Community College. So page 11 will show you the extensive course change and revisions that went through and also new courses for review last year. So we had a pretty busy year. Obviously, you guys approved a lot of some new programs this year. So that was great work for the curriculum team and the folks that went through that process. Faculty development supports ways for faculty to become more effective in the classroom, online, in their everyday interactions with peers and students. The beginning and end game is engineering student success. The approach to faculty development here at Butler is truly unique. It's very effective and engaging in a way that I personally have not seen or experienced at any other institution. It's a wonderful opportunity and experience for our faculty to go through with Mark and his team. This past year, they crafted and delivered a new faculty institute for 10 new faculty. They publish a monthly newsletter known as The Goods. They deployed the student evaluation instrument we call EvalKit with a very impressive 87% return rate. That's something I haven't seen either. You have a question, Mary Martha?
Not for you, Tom. Excellent reporting, though. Keep it
Okay,
up.
thank you. Appreciate that. They also hosted 3 second Saturday training events and coordinated over 150 workshops for faculty, which is reflected on page 12 of your board book. Let's see, as evidenced as we've experienced here at board meetings, the long list of student achievement awards, which is page 13 and 14, our honors department exists to provide recognition and opportunities for continued academic growth and success here at Butler for students who meet high academic standards, and that also includes our Phi Theta Kappa work. So there's really no doubt that our honors department will continue to be a national and regional leader in supporting these outstanding student leaders. Our Inclusion Council coordinates and directs efforts to advance Butler's inclusion mission and vision and achieve defined objectives for faculty, staff, and students. The council's work is aimed at leading sustainable, systemic change across Butler's institutional culture. This year, the Inclusion Council members spent time brainstorming and constructing ways to increase the multicultural experience for students, faculty, and staff across all of our campuses. In an effort to increase cultural awareness and opportunities for global learning experience, an action team was formed specifically focused on Heritage Months. The action team members worked together to create a list of heritage celebrations that the council routinely acknowledges. The action team members also hosted and supported student organization events during the fall and spring semesters. Many list of highlights and goals for the important work they're doing is found on page 15 and 16 of your board book. Getting close to the end here. Professional development supports the mission of Butler to prepare students for future success in college, the workplace, and lifelong learning. through highly coordinated and relevant instruction services and support. Coursework meets elective requirements. We have 8 PDX courses titled Engaging in whatever that particular meta major is served. So this serves as a required gateway course for new freshmen entering into pathways and meta majors. These courses help students solidify their academic goals, become familiar with college resources, develop crucial student learning skills. The courses support the commitment of Butler's academic programs to prepare students for future success in college, the workforce, and lifelong learning through highly coordinated and relevant instruction, services, and support informed by the AVID strategies that I mentioned and approach to the first-year college student experience. So coursework meets degree, elective, and developmental requirements, and the numbers of the students enrolled in those courses there is on page 18 and 19. Yes.
I just had a question. Of all the items that you just went through for diversity and inclusion, what measurement tools are you using to see if you're going or how successful your efforts are?
That's a great question. I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm filling in for this.
He's the messenger.
I'm just here delivering the message, but I can definitely get back to you with any detailed questions.
I think it's very much a part that's very important to the college. And so I would like to know how your self-measuring is going.
Yeah, and it's a pretty cool. I haven't. Again, this is Butler has a lot of really unique, fascinating components, and being such a grassroots effort, and the work the Inclusion Council done is really driven by the council itself and the members and the students and the faculty and staff.
And I have no idea who's on this council, but I would just wonder what tools are you using to measure your success?
Okay, I'll find out.
It's about 6.
Oh, Esam has an answer for you.
I have a little bit of an insight on that.
We have to get John Kim.
We can hear you.
We got to know it's really you.
I can
Make it
answer
two.
part of that because I've been involved with Inclusion Council on one of those things. One of the measurements we are trying to do is taking a look at success rate of students in our most highly enrolled 25 courses and see what the average is, and based on certain demographics, what subpopulations are doing. And that closing that gap becomes one of those achievement targets, which, I mean, we just found out those gaps. There are some gaps based on demographics, and I know that the Inclusion Council is kind of committed to eventually closing those gaps and hopefully eliminate that. And that matters because, course success, when we're talking about course success in those gateway courses, that is a foundation for persistence and retention, completion, and eventually those graduation transfer rates.
Yeah.
So that's one of those big objectives I know they're working on.
So when you roll out these programs or these councils, it's really important that someone has some tool by which all of this will be performance measured.
Certainly.
Before you commence.
And they have, and these are the metrics. Two of the things there, I know they're planning on rolling, and I'm not part of that council, but two of the things they are planning on rolling out is increasing a sense of belonging for those subpopulations who probably are not feeling that. And that is being done there. There is an effort to include, to have departmental lunches for new students of all backgrounds, which we know from research, those kind of things do increase the sense of belonging. And then picking that up and measuring that sense by either focus groups or targeted surveys. And if it is a targeted survey, then I know that my team will be involved in that. We are available to support that. Sorry, I didn't understand.
You have faculty and staff that are representative from across the institution that do their research, that understand what they're doing, and that are very accomplished in the work that they're doing. And putting great plans together before they launch and initiate stuff. So there, we can get some of those additional measures and stuff for you, but you got great faculty and staff that are working on this.
And, I'm not arguing any of those points. I'm just wondering if we're going to use this kind of resources, I would like to see some kind of measurement. Now, that's just normal business, but I know that I'm just business.
Well, our folks are too.
And there'll be measurement and you want to see results too.
Right,
So-
yeah. So I'm not asking for a grandiose, reinvent the wheel, just.
We can
No.
have Inclusion Council come and do a specific report for you. And you can get a really comprehensive overview of the work that they're doing if you want us to. They'd be glad to do
Yeah, they
that.
have a strategic plan. There's
Yeah, or just, the results measurements after
yeah.
we've had this plan implemented for how long? A year? Is this the
I think it
first
is.
year?
There-
For
Go ahead.
6 months?
There's 6 different sub-teams on Inclusion Council that are working on different priorities. So there's a group of people, but this has been part of our college strategic plan for a year. I mean,
A
the
year,
diversity,
okay.
inclusion and equity stuff, but they have their own strategic plan as well, based on what we have on our college strategic plan.
And it's likely going to be tied to our new state funding model as well. So luckily we are ahead of the curve there.
And what you'll likely see is because some of these things go into deployment in fall, that by the time we get to middle of next spring, we'll start seeing some numbers coming out if things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm sure they
Figuring
will
out what
arrive.
kind of measurement tool we're gonna use,
We'll
that's it.
come in and let you know how things are.
Okay, so
What-
speaking of measurement tools,
Just a second, Esau, I had a question. What makes me uncomfortable about this is the council's work is aimed at leading sustainable systemic change across Butler's institutional culture. Are we in need of systemic change in our culture? I mean, honestly, that's the goal. And I don't see the point of dividing everyone along race, gender, and ideology, anything at the college level. It's like, let's come here, learn algebra. We're doing STEM subjects, science, math, numbers. We don't need to include diversity, equity, inclusion in STEM departments.
I agree with
That doesn't
that.
have anything to do with it. And it's a road that the universities are traveling down that's not going to benefit the students in the long run.
I think it would be really beneficial to have Monica Lorg, who's the co-chair, and maybe some of the other Inclusion Council come and do a specific report. So you have a broader comprehensive view of really the work that they're doing.
Oh, I understand the work.
and-
I just don't think it's necessary. And I
I'll
think it's a waste
respond
of
to
time
that,
to
Shelby.
focus on all this.
That
Yeah,
I
if
agree
students
with you
feel it's
on that.
necessary.
I think from my perspective, and this is mine, probably not the institutional one, it is that the culture we need to change is so that everybody excels. And if some folks are not, we want to change things, that everybody excels so that. they're
And
not
yet
both
we on the
somebody.
board,
I'm sorry?
and yet we on the board.
I just
So
feel
it
when
should
you
be the
divide
most-
everybody, you're not really accepting everyone. You're putting everyone into separate groups. And so we're not a group of people that are all working for a unified goal. We're all our own individual groups bickering with each other when we need to or don't need to. But it's like, let's come together. Let's
I don't
get
disagree.
good education. Let's have a good future and not worry about some of the minutia doesn't matter on some of the classes we're taking. But I say that all the time.
And I don't
care if
disagree.
They come and talk to us, that's not a big deal, but I want to see if they're gonna come, then I've already read this. So I already know what they're doing, and I think, I'm not having any disagreements with this. I'm just wanting to see
Results.
what the results have been from all this extreme planning.
Okay, I don't disagree at all.
I just like to see the results. More students come here of every race, gender, sex, proclivity, whatever. Just more students come and get educated and get a good education from us, regardless of whatever,
That's what we
wherever
want
they
to.
hit.
That's what we want to.
See, and I don't
No,
know
I
what
understand.
happened to all that, because it's just never been an issue.
Okay, yeah, I just got 2 more so we can get the agenda moving here. Thank you, Esam. So the Butler Testing Centers is also under the purview of this division, which provides a quality, secure testing environment in which the highest levels of testing standards possible are maintained. We have testing centers located at several campuses, including El Dorado, Andover, McConnell at the Butler Service Center. The centers also offers a variety of testing for academic placement placement, military, and professional. The testing centers provide testing services to Butler faculty, students, military personnel, and stakeholders from the surrounding communities. The amount of testing and the volume of services there, it's on page 20 to show you those numbers. So very, very busy area. And wrapping it up is
I
tutoring
have one question real
services.
quick.
Yeah.
What's CLEP and DSST that are only at Butler McConnell and the
CLEP.
Service Center?
What are these acronyms?
I can speak to those a little bit.
Are you
So-
the creator of the acronyms here?
No, I am not. No. So we do that testing. It's basically giving them, the DSSE is specific to military. It's a military test. That's why it's only offered there.
Right.
And then CLEP is basically looking at their credit for what they've already learned, right?
Okay.
Prior learning.
Yep.
Clipping out of a class. Did you ever do that?
I tested that, but I didn't. I
Okay,
didn't know
well,
it's
that
called
was clipping out.
Yeah. Okay. And
Well, we call it clipping out into court.
so last but not least is our our tutoring services, which provide services in academic disciplines most needed by our students. Both faculty and peer tutors provide these services at regularly scheduled times and at designated learning labs in El Dorado and Andover campus, as well as online and at Rose Hill. So the number of students and hours that we're able to capture are on page 22, and that wraps up my part of the board report.
Is Phil okay?
He's in the hospital right now.
Okay.
Okay. board
I have a
strategic-
question.
Yes, Mary Martha?
Okay, yeah, you just mentioned in the report before about the dean's budgets. Have we ever seen the dean's budgets? And if not, could we get a copy of them, please?
They're part of the overall budget, Mary Martha.
Are we not allowed to have copies of them?
Well, I thought, aren't you getting?
I think we're mixing some things up, Mary Martha. What I was talking about was getting the deans involved in looking at the program economic analysis. It's basically a contribution margin analysis by department. It breaks down farther. You can break it down right to student class. So I'm not really talking about budgets per se. So I'm not sure I understand what your question is.
Well, I just heard you say the dean's budgets in your
No, it's
report.
just-
And so I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen those before.
No, deans don't have, I mean, each dean has a departmental budget, just like any other department in campus. And we have those reports available.
If we could see that then department by department, I think that would be very helpful.
I think that's the information that we've given to the trustees as that trustee Winslow has asked for. It's available.
It's all part of that report.
I have the labor.
No, it's like a 400-page report that shows each department.
Right.
Each department, it shows all the line items within a department.
Right.
We have that available.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought didn't they give you an over-under report that had the? that
An
had the
over-under
department-
report.
Yeah,
Is
so
it up
that's
to
got the
date?
departmental budgets on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, every month we
It's,
run it.
Okay, well, when did you send that? Like 3 months ago?
I think we've shown it to you at least once.
A lot
I
of
think.
times, yes. I just wondered if my copy is up to date.
Well, I don't know. Do you want it every month?
That'd be great. I'll take it. Apparently, I'm the only one who looks at it, but I'll take it. And I appreciate y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll share it with you, Mary Martha.
we'll send it to all the trustees.
We can send it in PDF form.
That'd be great.
I'm not
Thank
printing it
you.
off though. I don't have the printing budget that somebody else must have.
Okay. Moving forward, board strategic discussion.
Do it front
issues,
back.
opportunities,
Like 200.
And the first item is East Park softball field.
Right. I've given you, in one of the prior meetings, just a little bit of information that we were in conversation with the city about making some improvements potentially to East Park to the north field at East Park where the softball team plays, and indicated that, they're interested in a longer term annual lease with us that will allow us to really take care of that field. And it would be, kind of Butler's exclusive field. This is the first information. And so Vince Haynes is here from Gravity Works. The city enlisted Vince to help them with the comprehensive design of the improvements that they want to do out at East Park with a new concession stand and restrooms and some of those kinds of improvements. And so they engaged him as well to help look at what the changes would be if we did a locker room out there for our softball team, and some fencing to create some additional security and some sidewalk work. And so this is the first that we've really had more detailed information to present to you. And I just wanted to put it in front of you. I asked Vince to come and talk about those plans just a little bit. The city is, needing some direction from this board on interest and potential to make some changes out there. I don't know that there are any specific hard and fast deadlines or anything like that, but Vince is here to kind of walk through some of this information that's in front of you. The board book included a black and white copy of the softball field, but I put a color copy at each of your places. So it's a little bit easier to see where the fence line would be. And Vince, if you want to or come to the formation.
Sit on my phone.
Turn the green light on, or turn it so the green light's
Do you
on
have a
there.
camera available for there, or do you need him to stand up here?
Yep, you're good.
You're good.
Maps, let me. If not, Mary will yell at you.
Marion Forrest, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
Yes. Thank you. It's Hayden Graphic Works. We've been working with the city for some time now on some secure and vandal resistant session restroom infrastructure. Something talking with the TC and also the city fight for a pressing facility for softball. This plan that you're seeing has fencing around it to secure the field, 6-foot chain link fence. I have not coupled the two buildings together for a couple of reasons to consider. One is proximity to the field, the dressing room would be right on the field, so the baseball team has players would be for security in that regard, their equipment and stuff. And allows also.
Vince,
Yes.
I hate to interrupt, but I cannot hardly hear you.
Green light?
Is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
So where do you want me to start?
At the
Over.
beginning.
Over? At the
Yes,
beginning.
please.
All right. So again, we've been working with the city for some time on a facility there for a concession restroom. Talking with TC as well as Scott Rickard at the city, started talking about a locker room / dressing room facility for the softball team at that same park. The plan that's in front of you shows a fence that would enclose that softball field, basically wrap around the bleachers from behind and go from outfield fence to outfield fence to provide some security and such for the field that the Butler would be using. As Kim said, whatever that agreement looks like with the city in terms of lease and property boundaries or responsibility boundaries. I did not couple the locker room, dressing room with the concession building for a couple of reasons. One is proximity to the field. and access for the players for their dressing room and equipment that would be stored there. The other one is use the building as it is building as a piece of the fence to cut down on fence perimeter. And lastly, probably a chance for the autonomy as much as anything. So the locker room, restroom was a locker room and dressing room had a requirement for the number of lockers for the team, restroom facilities that were just the teams, not shared with the public restrooms, and then storage. So that's what you see there. To add that onto the rest of the concession restroom, we weren't saving any space. And with the design concept of it being storage containers, shipping containers, we talked a little bit about that. Working with the city, we devised a plan that allowed those shipping containers. Some of them have whole sides that open up, so we're able to open up the building, if you will, to be very accessible, and then close it up with very secure steel doors for vandalism and resistance to break in. We had a pretty good plan, I think, for the cities and the concession restroom. We took that same idea to the locker room and dressing room area, and it offers a very, very secure structure for storage and everything, all the belongings, and just so we're pretty motivated about what that can be in terms of protection for vandalism. But we don't do it because it's cheaper. What we found is the shipping containers become the skeleton of the building, but you still got finishes, you still got roof, you still got other stuff to deal with. So you don't do it because it's cheaper. You do it because for security. That's really the reason. It's only like, can we build a cheaper building? Probably, but it'll be a lot more vulnerable.
Are you concerned about some kind of crime rate? Or has there been, I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm just asking an honest question. Has there been a excessive vandalism at this park? I'm very familiar with that park, so.
Sure. Yeah, over the years, the city has seen quite a bit of vandalism to their park facilities.
Do you think the fence is going to take care of that?
You know, fences are what they are. It's a 6-foot fence. If somebody's going to scale a 6-foot fence, they're going to do it.
Is it going to be
This is really more
electrified?
about securing the storage and everything that's inside its personal belongings associated with the dressing room. Yep. In terms of that structure.
It's puzzling that you would choose, not that I find anything particular wrong with it. It's puzzling that you would choose storage containers because of the detriment to theft or vandalism, yet the whole structure is going to be fenced. And who would patrol this? Is this going to be the city, or is this going to be another venture for the police department here at the college?
Yeah, I don't have answers for those, but
It's still city property.
well, there's city property that, well, not city property, but there's private property that we look at now anyway and include in the police surveillance, don't we?
It's part of a city park. The city police will still, they'll continue to patrol the park just like they do today.
You have, you also, I mean, I think what I'm concerned about is, you know, in the dugout area, you have people, homelessness that goes in there, and, you know, I mean, we're not immune from any other city in this county or anywhere else for needles and drugs and whatnot.
Do we have
We're not
homeless
on
there
an
now?
island.
Do you know?
pardon me?
Do we have homeless there now that need to be addressed before we think about this?
There are homeless around town. It's
Yeah.
just, it can't, but I
Do we have homeless at that park on a regular basis that you know?
I can't address that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I do know we have a homeless population.
From the city's perspective, I'm happy to weigh in here. Yeah, there's been numerous times that, so I'm not implying that there's a homeless person at the park at this moment. There's been numerous times that homeless have slept in those dugouts overnight, left
Bad stuff.
Bad stuff in the dugouts overnight. So yes, El Dorado has homeless people in it. I mean, if you ask our county commissioners, there's no homeless in Butler County, but we have homeless people in El Dorado.
I think I asked a couple of them, and they're like, no.
Yeah, but El Dorado does have homeless. That park is often used. There's a river down there. There's cover. There's those dugouts are recessed dugouts. They block the wind well, and so it's been used numerous times. Our softball players, whether it is the college softball players or city girls softball teams that have gone down there to practice or play at those fields, have encountered that numerous times over the last few years.
And the fence would help.
Yeah, indeed, a 6-foot fence is difficult to scale.
Yes.
6-foot chain link, 6 foot with barbed wire, like a prison. I mean, I'm just
No,
trying to get an
I had not
idea.
intended.
No, it's a 6-foot fence, just like what is around our other fields where those people don't generally go in.
Okay.
Yep.
So would this be our exclusive park?
Yes.
The
field would
agreement-
be would be exclusive to Butler, wouldn't it?
Yes, we would,
Not the park.
No, just that north field, we would,
I thought you said park.
we would
I'm sorry. not
work
park.
on a long-term lease agreement. It's really the last year or so has been really only used by Butler. The city's improving their other softball fields for city league use and for the high school team to use. And so this would be specifically the Butler field, and Butler would take care of it, and our team would be the only one that would play on this field.
Are we going to have transportation?
They already do have transfers, live out at Walnut River Apartments right out there. We don't bus them back and forth to the field. They drive themselves. We don't bus any of our players. I mean, our football players drive to the stadium. Lots of times the track kids drive to the stadium or they walk. So baseball players drive to McDonald. So. Well, I guess I need to know, because David Dillner and I are going to sit down still this month and continue our discussion. And so, nothing's finalized necessarily, but I want some direction from the board if we can continue to have these conversations and move forward with this. I need to be able to tell David that, we're not going to do anything to that softball field and we aren't going to build a locker room. Certainly in my initial conversations with him, it sounded like the city would be flexible about the payment, the funding, all of those kinds of things. I mean, nothing is obviously set in stone, but there's a city commission now that's really willing to move forward with this plan and create a really strong partnership and a longer term lease. Prior to this, we were kind of doing an annual lease with them, with the city, year to year, and kind of short term. And so the city's really wanting to make a longer term commitment to us through a partnership. So I think it's valuable.
I'd be interested to know how many students are attending Butler for the softball program. Sorry.
Well, we have, how many do you have on our softball team?
16 to 24, isn't there?
I mean, we can, our certified roster, I think, can have 24 players on it, but we've probably got a few more than that.
Are there no options to put a softball field just south of us or right across the road?
You
I know it'd
you
be
want to talk
more
about $1 million
expensive.
project, that's what it would
Well,
be.
this is a third of $1 million for.
But we don't own the land.
Mm.
We would have to do a significant amount of dirt work on this campus to build a field on this campus. It could easily be, I don't know, Vince, $1 million project probably to build a softball field. By the
Well, we
time
don't
did the-
know.
A couple
because
years
we
ago,
haven't
they
really
were
checked that.
750 to
We've
$1
talked
million
about it
lighted
before.
fields.
Yeah. That's
depending
not,
on the grading, but that was a couple years ago when we were doing them.
and that's probably not counting all of the turf and everything else.
No, that would be
This is,
Turf
this
field.
isn't gonna be turf. It's still
But
natural grass.
per field, but that's, I'd
But
have
we-
to look at what they are today. That was a
I-
couple years ago.
My only thought about, I don't see the need for locker room since we're so close to the field. And if I was a young woman, I don't know if I'd want to shower at a field that's an hour or a
Yeah.
mile, 2 miles from my apartment.
Even a fence around it, I don't know
So-
if I'd be comfortable, but
Yeah, and the
just
design
don't have
doesn't have a shower. It's not really intended for that. It's for storage of gear and dressing into uniforms at the, that was how I was played to
For
me. So
20 kids for $200,000 just to change clothes and put your things in a locker.
Well, here's my viewpoint on it. My viewpoint on it is that, and from playing baseball and playing softball or whatever, if you have a big enough locker room, you put your stuff in it, it is safe, it is secure. It gives the players an opportunity to go to the bathroom in private in between innings to where nobody is watching them click, 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 click all the way out of a fence and going, 40, 50 yards to a bathroom facility to go back. And, that there's a lot and from strictly a Title IX equality standpoint, I do know that, now whether the players use them at a McDonald's stadium, but there was an effort many years ago by the city, and I don't know who really spearheaded the effort, but because it included a baseball Hall of Fame and different construction building and ticket building and umpires dressing room but to have a place to be able to put your baseball gear or your softball gear and not have somebody just go along a fence and be able to pull a $480 bat out, or a $80 helmet or a $500 baseball glove or a softball glove. We're talking real money with these sports that these kids invest. And to have that secure, to me, is a high important item.
will
I
there
mean,
be
we
any-
have a nationally ranked softball team.
Yeah.
A nationally ranked softball team.
Softball team is the only, is the only team that doesn't have dedicated locker room or, changing space that's associated with their, with their. Oh, go ahead, Mary Martha.
I tell you what, guys, I lived through Title IX. We didn't have sports in high school, went to college, and that's where I got on a couple of athletic teams in fast pitch. But I believe in Title IX. What's good for the boys is good for the girls. Now, I want you to really think about this. The boys have it, but the girls, my gosh, you guys, they have gone to nationals, brought us home so much hardware. It's wonderful. So I'm all for this. Thank you.
Is this the place you think, Mary Martha? Do you think
Excuse-
this is the right place for it? Do you think
No.
this is the right place?
No, I would love to see it on our property, on our land. I would love that. I tell you what, I've had calls from.
I'd
the
like to see
city.
that.
I've had some calls from citizens in El Dorado, and they're very upset about it. And I'll ask why, and they're saying because the city does not have that many good softball fields for girls. And I look around and I can see it, but I don't know.
Well, let me just clarify that.
Dr. Crow, we cannot hear you.
A little bit, from my conversation with David, the city is improved to play on. And so there's
Dr. Kroll.
6 other fields for.
Dr.
softball
Kroll,
players.
we cannot hear you. We cannot
Oh,
hear
my
you.
microphone's on. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
You're frozen. You need to start all over again, please.
I'm just saying, so I'm empathetic. I do believe in Title IX and the purpose of it. I would like to see someone pursue an alternative if this option does not work out.
So I guess what I would like to know from the board then is, you're interested in having us engage someone to help us understand design and build of a softball field on campus? Is that what you want us to do before we make any kind of commitment to the city? That's what you would like us to do, is to come back with plans for cost to design and build a softball field on campus. That's what you're telling me,
I
right?
would say that somewhere in this immediate vicinity of schools, public or college, there is somebody somewhere that has built a softball field in the last 2 years. And we can add inflation, and let's look at what it's
Circle High
cost them.
School built one, and I think they spent $4 to $5 million on just the baseball softball complexes
There's a complex, a few.
Well-
years
of
ago.
4 fields.
I can
We can-
absolutely,
We can get some information.
I can absolutely come up with some.
I get my only 2 cents, but I would appreciate is like the VKD sports analysis. I would like to know what's softball generating revenue, what's our income, what's our expenses. We have a world-class team. What kind of revenue does that generate us? I'd happily spend $1 million on something right over here on the south of us if it's justified, but I don't have any of that data to know.
So
what.
I know when we've kind of talked about softball on campus before, the location would be to the south.
I'm not saying it's the
But-
best idea. It's just.
Well, but so the other things that go along with that now though is, there's football practice fields there, there's soccer practice fields there. And when we've looked at a field on campus, that
heats
south
up in
area
other
is
places.
where it would have to be. So then we've got to relocate and find space for practice fields for football potentially and soccer. And so it's not just building a softball field on campus.
is-
There would
is
be
the-
some
Is some
other
of the property
movements.
between ag and here owned not by us?
It's
or-
all refinery ground, I think.
Yeah.
Guys, this is Forrest. We are kicking this can down the road unnecessarily. There is no way in the world, given all the tight budget discussions that we've had over the last 2 years, that a majority of this board is going to feel comfortable spending over $1 million on a new softball field that does nothing more than take a perfectly good existing softball field and move it 2 miles west so it's on our property. To me, it is foolish to even suggest that we would entertain that 2 months from now with whatever information Vince and everyone else is going to come up with. If we're going to have a softball team, this is part of having a softball team, is making sure that we have the proper facilities for the girls to play on. And we need to trust the coaches and the girls that if that they're telling us this is what they want and need, we shouldn't be substituting our judgment of whether a 19-year-old college athlete wants to change clothes at her apartment or whether she wants to change clothes in a locker room. That's not
Okay,
our
well,
place. Wait,
that's-
let me finish.
Appreciate your comments.
As to Mary Martha's point, I understand that El Dorado, living here, I understand El Dorado has a shortage of fields. I think on that note, we need to trust that David Dillner knows and the city commission knows the Parks and Rec plan for the city, and they've got a plan for that. And if the city is comfortable with allowing Butler to have dedicated use of this field, then to me, we should be looking out for what's best for Butler, not what we think the city ought to be doing. That's something for the city administrator and the city commission to be handling.
So can I continue the discussion with David and bring back more information to you, or?
Well, I still have a few questions, but
I think it is a cheaper alternative, but I think it's a great, we've already got a softball field here.
Is the locker room something that could be added later? I know you'd have to add fence now, but.
is everyone going to be able to get into the locker room? Is that specifically going to be limited to Butler
It's
students?
just Butler.
Butler.
The intent is Butler only.
And that's the way
intent
that,
is Butler,
that's
but
the way that's the way the locker room is at McDonald. The Butler baseball locker room is
Right.
just Butler players, and this one would be just Butler softball players. So they can store their stuff there. So their stuff is secure and they're.
is there any part of this plan that we'll be sharing with El Dorado?
No.
Sharing,
Yes.
No.
The
It's not
locker room.
That's,
No,
that's what the lease is all about for that particular field.
I'm just asking the question.
It's designed to be autonomous, yes.
Well, I would
Vince, I
imagine,
have a question.
Sure.
The height of the fence bothers me, and that's the only reason is because of home runs. Are we doing the right thing and making it a 6-foot fence?
The 6-foot fence just goes from outfield fence to outfield fence. The height of the outfield fence stays the same. I think that's
It's there.
probably a
It's standard.
field
Doesn't the
regulation.
fence go behind the outfield
No,
fence?
it just connects at the corners.
At this
It's just
point, it
gonna
just
connect
connects,
at the
but it
points.
can. Yeah, at this point, it just.
See, I would
connected.
like to see it go beyond so that then the kids could get the home run balls.
I agree.
That was a very big deal of, I mean, if anybody watched the national softball tournament, was giving the home run ball, retrieving the home run ball and giving it to the family. That was a big deal.
Still do that.
Oh, well, I know, but it would
Not without
allow
leaving
us
and
to
going
go into
outside.
our land and not have kids get it and stuff like that.
Now that can be done. Sure.
Okay, so Dr. Cole said she planned to meet with David later this month. You have additional questions? Would you like to come back after that meeting? Would you send it to Dr. Cole? Please, and move forward to AC.
Thank you, Vince.
Sure. Yeah, thank you.
18 to governance, and I think Forrest is going to talk about this time.
Maybe.
Maybe, are you with us, Forrest?
Thanks, Vince.
I can hear very little of what Linda's saying.
I said, are you ready to make your presentation on governance?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even hear that you'd moved to the next item. Yeah, I'm happy to start that. Sorry. So the concern here we had, and I want to be careful here that we're not getting into, I don't want to bring up the underlying issues because the underlying issues are going to be discussed in executive session that deal with non-elected personnel. The governance issue is, since the last meeting, we had 2 different instances where one of our trustees, Julie Winslow in this case, was directly reaching out to to college employees, directly circumventing Dr. Kroll in trying to find information, in one case about the police chief, in the other case about the softball coach. This is not about.
Why aren't you concerned, Forrest?
This is, well, if you'll.
Let me just stop you right here. You're not speaking for the board. You're speaking for you.
I am.
Why is it concerning that I would question or wonder why we had not been told as trustees that the police chief had gone somewhere? Why did we not get told that?
Julie, did you hear one word of what I said at the start of this?
What I heard is you being on the stand again and speaking for the entire board, and you cannot do that.
I'm speaking as the chair who is remote, so I'm not sharing the meeting right now. I'm speaking as if I was sitting right in that room, and I'm putting out that this kind of behavior cannot continue. Higher Learning Commission is going to evaluate us, and one of the things they evaluate us on is how we follow our own code of conduct and our own rules. We are a policy-making board. It is not our place. Our direct contact for all things through the college is Dr. Kroll, unless Dr. Kroll approves us going to someone else. We should not be circumventing Dr. Kroll to try to get information, regardless of how important any individual person thinks the information is. If you wanted the information, we reach out to Dr. Kroll and we say, this is what I want. And we've all done that before in different circumstances. For whatever reason, it didn't happen here. My point.
Well, frankly, I didn't believe it was true.
My point of this discussion item is that if it happens again, we have to take internal disciplinary action against the trustee that's offending it. If we don't, our rules mean absolutely nothing, and HLC is going to ding us for it. That is the main point I wanted to make with this. I'm not fighting about whether you needed the information. That has nothing to do with this.
I don't think you should wait, Forrest. I think you are threatening me. And if you wish to do something, then I encourage you to go for it. Because all I did was verify information that I was asked. And honestly, I didn't even believe it was true, or I would have possibly called Dr. Kroll, but I couldn't believe it was true.
Julie, you
But-
can't help, but you cannot help but find ways in your mind to try to ridicule and disparage Dr. Kroll. And if you thought you could sneak around and find information that you felt you should have gotten
Nobody is
directly
sneaking.
from someone else, no, calling the on-duty officer at the police, at the,
And
public
asking
safety
for the
office.
individual that was supposed to be gone is a problem to you.
You also
Just
called
because-
Esom. You
Not
also
your
called
Just
place.
because I wanted to know.
It is not your place to call that person and ask for that information directly. It is not the place of any trustee to be doing that. This has nothing to
You
do
know
with
what?
you personally.
It's
You
not
happen to
your
be the
place.
one.
Mr. Chair, this is Shelby. I would say this is a little inappropriate to do this now.
Very much so.
Hey, just let me talk. I'd say we could do this in executive session regarding personnel or somewhere. We're not just airing
That's
our
not what
laundry
they
in
wanna
public.
do.
No,
I
Shelby,
asked, just a second. I asked repeatedly when we were buying all new projectors, short throw, blah, 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 super expensive projectors. Hey, when's the auction going to be? I'd like to buy one of those. Hey, when's it coming up? No response, no response. I emailed Dr. Kroll. Hey, when's the auction? Months went by. I emailed Mr. Young. Hey, what about these projectors? When are they going to come up? I'll get back with you, Shelby. Never got back.
I
We fin-
emailed you.
we finally
Shelby.
got, no, about the auction. We finally got some information on Ribbit, but there's no detailed report of where the projectors went or when they were replaced. I'm just saying I contacted Bill out of line a year ago. I don't know, but I've done the same thing, but I wasn't, I mean, I don't know. I've done the same thing.
okay, Shelby, just two quick responses. I don't want to argue about this. To me, it's not a subject for executive session. We need to hold ourselves to a standard. We have talked in executive session about this issue before. We have been advised by counsel about this issue before. We've been advised by people that are familiar with HLC about this issue before, and it continues to arise. At some point, we have to hold ourselves accountable and not continue to say, this is what we have to do. I promise to do better next time. My point.
I never did say that.
My
Just to
point of
respond to
bringing this
that.
up now was we have 3 new board members that don't have as much history as the rest of us do. And I didn't think it would be appropriate to put an action item on the agenda without sort of having a last chance. This is really important. You know what? If we move to censure a trustee for doing something that's against the bylaws and it doesn't have a vote of 4, then it doesn't happen and we move on. But I wanted it to be kind of clear that this is something we have to start policing ourselves. And this happened to be the most recent example that gave an opportunity to bring it up.
I understand that. I also understand that when our council has told us over the past several years not to engage with students, not to engage with teachers, even when we are approached, and to simply pass things along to the chair and the administration, that's not correct counsel. And then we were given training from, I forget her name, who's a principal, came here and told us,
El Dorado.
no, you should respond to people when they talk to you. I've talked to other presidents of our other universities. If someone approaches you, yes, you should engage them and let them know that they are heard. You'll send things through the proper channel, but it's not proper to ignore people and not respond, which is what we were told many, many times, at least 4 times in 4 different meetings by our council, which I think is wrong. And if we put that in our bylaws and it's still wrong, I don't know why to follow that bylaw. I'm not saying this is exactly the same that you're talking about now, but just because our council suggests it or even tells us so, I don't believe it always is right.
No, my point was simply that this has been a topic that we've discussed internally before. We've talked about it in an exec session before, and it continues to happen, which means whatever we've done before has not been effective. And we need to either own up and take greater steps or continue to ignore it at our own peril when HLC dings us for it.
You know, HLC is something you should really worry about, especially.
It is something you should worry
That's right.
about.
It's something that we.
It is really something you should worry
I
about.
just said.
So worry about it.
I am worried about it.
It doesn't seem so.
I'm worried about it because the minutes.
Julie, we should only be talking to one
You know what?
person.
If you're
and
gonna
that
be
is Dr.
unprofessional
Kroll.
and keep
I'm
cutting
not
me
being
off,
unprofessional.
I'll get my damn bell
I'm
out
telling
and I'm
you
ringing it.
you can talk to one individual. If the rest of us do it, you can do it.
Those bylaws, I did not vote for those. Those were changed after Shelby and I got on the board and started asking questions. And Dr. Kroll didn't like it. So she went to the board and said, hey, let's vote for these. That's how they were
Well,
passed.
And so they were passed
That's right.
By the
and
majority.
by the majority,
That's
and
right.
that's what we
And
live
I did
by.
not vote for them.
And if you want to change the bylaws, then we go through the process.
Okay, let's.
But let's move on.
For a second here.
Right.
Do you have anything else for us?
No, that
I
was
will.
everything. Thank
Please
you.
go right ahead, Forrest. Do not hesitate.
And I would just remind the board that, yes, that might be in the bylaws of that manner in which to solve problems, but we as a board are in charge of this this college, and not the people who work for us are not in charge.
My point tonight had nothing to do with that, Shelby. My point tonight was Dr. Crow is our point of contact, and we should be going through her. And if you feel like you went through her and you didn't get the information you wanted, then that's a separate issue that we should be taking up directly with Dr. Crow. We shouldn't be circumventing her.
But you do not, Forrest. You do not take up these with Dr. Kroll. You do not even do it in an executive meeting. That is the problem.
What are you talking about, Julie? And I guess I
What
forget
you're
I even
talking
asked
about,
that.
what you're talking about. I'm talking about the same thing. So let's just move on. You do whatever you got to do.
Okay, next we have our board action items. Kent, you were going to talk to us about the insurance renewal.
Yes.
Really in the mood for that.
For each of the trustees who are physically in attendance, I've given you the updated topic for action. Forrest and Mary Martha, it's my understanding that Dr. Kroll emailed you the topic for action. So I'm just going to speak to this and kind of walk through it. Due to the timeline, you just got this recommendation today. As far as background, I think we've been through it quite a bit over the past couple months, but just real quickly, we have seen a increase over the past several years in insurance premiums and deductibles. It seems to be sort of where the market is at this time. So this year, we're made aware that there was another option besides working with ICI. We've had a long and very productive partnership with ICI as our broker to get us the best deal that's available to independent insurance brokers. And this year we became aware of a program affiliated with the KASB, Kansas Association of School Board, and it's called the CURMP program, which stands for Kansas Educational Risk Management Pool. And that program for the region that we're in is brokered by the Conrady agency. And we do have Chris Conrady here tonight with us, who represents that agency. And Chris, I assume you have an associate?
This is my colleague.
Thank you. So, the other thing that has sort of trended in the insurance procurement in the past few years is that the companies won't really respond early on. I mean, they're pushing and pushing. So we were not able to really get quotes until about a week and a half ago.
I want to make sure they're paying attention before you continue.
That I'm paying attention?
Yeah, that you
I'm-
guys are
well,
not
I'm-
having a sidebar that we need to know about, or that you
I'm
miss
trying
anything.
to help. Bill has another commitment. We're trying to make sure that his issues and items get moved up on the agenda when we're done with the insurance discussion.
So I just say it's, it was just last week that we got the final numbers. And due to the fact that the current program is a pooled program, which is a little different than just buying insurance on the open market, we did ask IMA, who's an insurance company in Wichita that we have a consulting relationship with, for our self-funded health insurance to go through and give us sort of a review of the two proposals. So based on the information that I received from ICI and Ryan, and I know Ryan has another commitment today. He did think that maybe he would be able to Zoom in, but Heather, you haven't received any requests, right?
I thought I saw him earlier, but I don't know.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. I didn't realize that. So Ryan is available if we have any questions of him. And I'd like to just walk through the recommendation that I put before you. The first part, the top part is a overall premium summary. And the current program does not insure workers' comp. So we're going to be recommending that we keep workers' comp with the accident fund, which is brokered through ICI. And you can see that the premium there for the upcoming year is $124,794. The remaining policies, the premium total for the current program is $571,306. And the policies that ICI brought us come to $666,152. So there's a fairly significant premium cost between the two programs, about $95,000 savings with the current program. As far as the coverages, I would just summarize to say, from my perspective, I believe they're fairly close. There are nuances in the deductibles. But overall, from my perspective, we can go into some detail if you have questions. I felt they were fairly similar. The IMA report did bring to our attention a few things that we knew about, but they thought needed to really be talked about a little bit. The current program does require a 2-year commitment. So if the board approves the recommendation to go with that program, we would be obligating for 2 years. And it does require a 6-month notice to get out of the program. So at the end of 2 years, if we wanted to be out of the program 18 months from now, we would have to notify them of that. And there is a potential for an assessment through the current program. There's a loss fund that's funded through the premiums that each participant has. And right now, it's my understanding there's almost $4 million in that loss fund. The figure I have is $3,950,000. That fund provides the first dollar claim amount up to $350,000. So it would take a fair number of claims against that to deplete that pool. And it would only be if that pool was depleted then that all the participants in the fund, in the current program could be assessed. And there's approximately 90 participants, it's my understanding at this point in time. So while that is a risk that we take, I don't personally see it as a high risk at this point in time. Yeah, another note that, the IMA noted that the ICI wind hail option provides a better deductible. In my conversations with both Ryan and Chris, I believe that there are variations of the deductibles under certain circumstances where one program might have a better deductible than the other. For instance, if there was a large claim on this, at this location, the current deductible would be 500,000, a flat deductible. Whereas because it's a percentage deductible, it could be up to 800,000 from the ICI proposal, plus another $100,000 for the dormitory. So in that case, the current deductible could actually, I believe, be less. Now, if it was just a standalone building like our ag facility or the culinary building, then that would be a $100,000 limited deductible through the ICI proposal, which would be a better deductible in that case than the 500. So from my point of view, it depends sort of on the circumstances, which deductible might be better. Another item that was noted in the IMA report that they gave us was a question whether the current program actually had a crime coverage within the cyber policy. And apparently that wasn't too clear for the IMA review. I have talked to Conradi Agency about this, and they have provided me with the information that there actually is crime policy within the cyber coverage of $1 million, 900,000 for fund transfer fraud, and 100,000 for social engineering. And so I'll just leave it at that for now. If you have questions, if the board has questions, or if, then we can get into that deeper. But so my recommendation is that the board approve the current proposal for those policies that are covered under CURP, and that we go with accident fund through ICI for the workers' comp. And at that point, I would open it up for comments or questions by the board.
I want just a couple of questions in reference to the item number 2, issues. So that's about 11 claims at $350 a piece. Have you ever run out of funds in that reserve in the past?
Oh, I can speak.
Yeah, so are you picking me up? Yeah.
Is the green light on?
It is, so we'll see how it goes here. The $350,000 member retained retention is funded through the preemptive collection of the loss fund. Kent mentioned that was $3,950,000 for the current term. So through this term, which is June 30 of 2022, that is what has been aggregated by the members to pay losses as they would come up to $350,000. Traditional insurance attaches at that point and pays the claim beyond that. The loss fund itself is also additionally reinsured with a $2 million stop loss policy. So there, in this year's collection, there was 3.9 million, and then effectively another 2 million that sat on top of that as a buffer. Kermit was formed in 2015 by 10 original pioneering districts, Bluestem, one of them, kind of in your neighborhood here. And basically in response to insurance volatility in the school insurance marketplace. I mean, everybody that's procured school insurance in the last 7 years knows it's been volatile, to say the least. Over the last 7 years, it's grown tremendously to 88 members at last year's renewal, July 1, 2021. There were 88 members. Also in February of 2021, the Kermit Board of Trustees, which is an elected board of school leaders. It is a public entity, not unlike a USD or a community college. It operates under an interlocal agreement, not unlike a service center or special education cooperative. And it is member governed, owned by the members that participate. They are who has hired me to educate potential members about participation in this. They voted in February of 2021 to allow Kansas two-year colleges to petition for membership. We had 6 two-year colleges join last year, and there are a number petitioning for membership this year.
These 88 schools, are they spread out throughout the state fairly evenly? Or do we see like South Central Kansas having a large number of schools and with losses and so forth? We had Hale in the area.
That's a good question. Yeah, excellent question. Yeah. I would say that the distribution of schools is sort of proportionate to the distribution of property or population in this state. So Liberal is a member, as is Goodland, as is Pratt, as is Great Bend, as is Hayes and Salina. Newton, Andover is a member. You maybe know that Andover did result in the largest Kermit loss to date this year. We we just absorbed a $10 million claim there. So that
I
was
think Rose Hill is a member too, are they not? 394?
that could be, I would have to,
Well,
yeah.
they're not like Andover.
Yeah, no, that was significant. So Topeka is a member, Lawrence is a member, Manhattan and Emporia are members. Those are mostly districts that found themselves with unsustainable insurance renewals or volatile insurance renewals. And that's sort of why this was created, quite frankly.
So you will carry everything except workman's comp?
Yeah, Kermit was designed to be a comprehensive, all-inclusive property casualty insurance solution for all Kansas public schools. The program managers have worked very hard to curate a program that meets all needs of Kansas public schools.
We have a pool of money for deductible so that we can set it higher, right?
We have a reserve. We've set aside $500,000 reserve for deductibles at this point in time. It's part of the general fund cash carryover that we've designated as a reserve for deductibles.
I thought it was bigger than that.
You might be thinking about the health insurance.
Maybe.
Self-funded pool.
Okay, well, so you do everything except that, except workman's comp.
Kermit does not do workers' compensation.
Oh.
It is meant to be complementary to the other KASB programs, and KASB does have a workers' compensation program.
I see. And if we looked at that?
No, we're very pleased with our workers' comp right now.
Nor are we pursuing it.
I would like to say that, I tried to summarize this the best we can. I'd like to give Ryan an opportunity, if you'd like to speak at all, Ryan. We've had a long and valuable association with ICI, and ICI and Ryan have been great supporters of the college. So Ryan, I don't know if you'd like to speak at all or address anything about the summary that I made on your proposal.
Thanks, Kent. I appreciate that. You summarized it pretty well. The deductible structure is different, as you mentioned. It kind of depends on what the claim is as to whether or not the Kermit structure would be more favorable. Obviously, in a large loss at 901 South Haverhill, ours would be higher. I will say I was surprised at the difference, and
But I do think there is some merit to the differences in a fully insured program versus a pool. I do believe you are assuming a little more risk in the pool concept. But other than that, I guess I'm just, I'm disappointed. I wasn't able to put together something a little more competitive. I was surprised by the difference, quite frankly.
We certainly appreciate the work, and I know over the past several years with the climate of the industry, how hard you've worked for us.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Kent, this is Forrest. I'd be interested in knowing what we're effectively going to be locked in for 2 years, and realistically with the 6 month notice requirements, we're realistically locked in for another year after that, because or unless we preemptively give notice before the end of the 2 years, if we decide to go a different direction. What's been the premium history for Kermit over the last several years? What have they seen in terms of premium increases?
I can probably speak to that.
Yes, please.
Give me permission. This has been our most eventful renewal increase year, to be candid. The average Kermit member renewal was up 22% this year. So if you kind of look at your number and what that would have looked like a year ago, that would have been pretty attractive. Andover was a $10 million claim, and the program absorbed it, retained $350,000 of risk as it was designed to do. The reinsurance carriers are responding to the claim in excess of $350,000. And our renewal was negotiated with full knowledge of the $10 million loss. We believed when we had an all member meeting in March that we were headed towards an 8 to 12% increase at renewal. That's what the reinsurance markets were projecting to us. And the largest probably school claim this year anywhere in the state has resulted in our renewal being up another 10%. So it's very difficult to say from year to year, and I think any insurance broker will concur with this, what the market is going to do. If we have 7 named storms in the Atlantic make landfall, all bets are off. That's just something that none of us can control.
Hopefully Andover won't have another tornado.
I hope that is accurate. I would also just say that the program is designed to be the sustainable solution for Kansas public schools. All effort and momentum has been placed into that. 2-year colleges have had a really tough go since 2015 when they were sort of the non-renewal en masse began. And some 2-year colleges, when we have said it does require a 2-year commitment, and you do have to give 6 months notice if you intend to shop, which would be by January 1 of 2024, you would have to give notice if you want to shop. That does not mean you can't remain a member. Members sometimes do that. They shop and then elect to remain members. If we're doing our job as a board, or if the board is doing their job, we hope everyone remains a member. Some 2-year colleges, and I don't want to be flip, but they've said, does this mean we know we will be in the same place for 2 years? And I guess that is a yes, and that has actually been received as a positive in some places.
So I want to clarify that. So that means that if we make a 2-year commitment, then our insurance premiums won't go up for 2 years. Is that what you're saying?
No, that is not what I'm
Okay,
saying. Yeah,
all right.
I'm saying I
That's the
do
way I
not
interpret
know
it.
what
Okay,
will happen.
all right.
Yeah,
Just wanted to make sure.
that was a good question.
Ryan, historically, where have you seen the ICI premiums year over year? Are they raising at the 8 to 10% level, or have you seen something a lot more?
I couldn't
Now,
quite
can you
hear
hear me?
that.
I was
No,
going to say, historically, year over year, what has ICI done? The 8 to 10% approximately? Is that what you've seen? And
Well,
would one claim make that much difference?
typically one claim will not. The $7.5 million claim we had in 2015 has hindered our ability to find another program over the last 6 years. Most carriers ask for a 5-year loss history. So kind of a perfect storm. This was the first year that the large claim was not on Butler's 5-year loss history, which probably worked in Kermit's favor. You know, Linda, I wish I had that information in front of me. I could get it, but not while you all waited for me to type on my computer. You know, this year it was 10%. It has been volatile. I can't say that it's been, I can't say that we haven't had an increase more than 10% because quite honestly, I wasn't looking at the premiums a few years ago. It has been a little bit of a rodeo when EMC exited, but honestly, our casualty lines have been in the same place since that happened. And our property's only been in 2 places since that happened. We were with the MEC program that, not the same, but similar layered program to Kermit that imploded in Kansas. And since after that, we moved to Chubb, who we've been with since then. So I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for how much our premiums have gone up year over year.
That's fine. Thank you.
My 2 cents was we're almost 20% lower. Or you guys are on, keep saying Kermit. That's how I hear it in my head. There's just say Kermit and no one can tell. But so even if you went up 20% next year and ICI goes up 10%, I think it'd still be less next year. And we could opt to shop in a year and see what's what. I think we'd still come out possibly a tiny bit ahead.
That is correct.
I mean, we can go ahead and tell you 6 months in advance every time we renew that we're, just because we're good stewards of money and make sure that we're getting the best deal.
Well, the first commitment would be a definite 2-year.
2 years,
commitment.
yes, I know that. I heard it. Well, I would make a motion to take Kent's recommendation and retain Conrady. How do I say that?
Yeah, the name of our agency is Conrady Insurance Group, but just so the distinction is clear, Kermit is a member-owned program. And
Okay, Kermit.
yeah, and when you move and elect to join Kermit, you are electing to join your peers in this program. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I would move to take Kent's recommendation to employ you except for the workman's comp.
I would second that. And I know it's kind of a tough decision for however we vote out on it. I mean, I
I've
think
got
we
one
would
other
pass-
question, if we've still got some discussion. Is there, what's been the history within Kermit of member assessments? Have they occurred in the history of the organization? And if so, how frequently and in what amounts?
Kermit has never done an assessment. They retain the services of an international broker called Arthur J. Gallagher, who actually does the pool management for them. They are the ones that set up the structure of the program, broker the reinsurance for the program, and they will tell you that in the 50 years they've done public entity pools, including 26 similar school pools around the country, that a school pool managed by them has never had an assessment.
Are you familiar with what happened in Oklahoma? What's the distinction in Oklahoma versus, I mean, how is our pool structured, or how is Kermit structured differently from the failed pool in Oklahoma?
The major distinction is the stop loss insurance that we procure over the loss fund. There are 2 pools in Oklahoma, one that is managed by Gallagher called the Oklahoma Schools Insurance Group. It has never conducted an assessment. And then there is another pool that bounces around between 15 and 20 school districts. It is markedly cheaper. It is a much less expensive pool, but it does not utilize the same stop loss insurance and the same structures. And therefore it is susceptible to assessments when they have not collected enough member dues in a given year. So it's attractive because it's cheap. Kermit is not cheap. And we don't purport to be cheap because we have bought reinsurance at different places very strategically.
Well, I think it's important that people understand it's it's a different structure. It's almost like a co-op, you know.
That is correct. Yeah.
I think if we move forward with the recommendation, we also need to take a hard look at what we have in reserve for deductibles, because we could potentially not have enough. So we probably need to designate more of our reserve funds, or make sure that we have it, that we don't spend them down where we don't have reserve funds. So,
Okay, I must not talk
You
loud
don't talk
enough.
very loud. I think it's just like,
Okay. Can you hear me now, Forrest and Mary?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we'll try this again.
Yes, thank you.
My only comment is I think we need to look hard at what we have set aside in reserve for deductibles, given that we could exceed the 500,000 if we had a fairly major loss, because it sounded like it would be up to 800,000.
Well,
Is that right? Up to 800,000 if we had a large
for a
loss
single
here?
event, it's a 500,000 deductibles curve. Now you could have more than one event in a year. So you could, it's possible that you would need more than a $500,000 reserve. And what I would say is we've talked about this as far as budgeting and how we want to look at some of the reserve funds. And that will be a topic that we'll want to talk about at the June work session on June 27th. Right now, we have enough in the designated reserve to cover one event.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? We could vote.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan. That's a lot of work.
6-0. Yes, thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Chris.
You bet. I'd just like to say thank you to all the trustees for the relationship over the years. I've enjoyed it very much. And again, I'm sorry I didn't have something more competitive this year. So thanks again.
Okay,
Just
thank
remind
you.
us 6 months before our 2 years is up. And we'll
Okay.
notify them that we're going to be shopping.
Bill needs to leave, so we had some items that we had moved.
Okay.
And so if we could go to those quickly.
Thank you, folks.
So the first one of those,
Let's talk about the iMac computers.
okay, the D, we had that as 9F.
Shelby
Shelby
just
left,
walked.
so.
Oh, okay.
We don't ever take breaks,
Huh?
41.
Yes, it's on page 41.
Okay,
Okay.
do we have,
Yeah, we have,
we got everybody? No. Well, do we need her though? She would have to do the vote. I can do the vote if we get to that point, but let's
done
go ahead and
already?
start with
Okay.
the discussion. We want
Shelby,
to talk about the iMac computers. So we-
Shelby.
Oh, yeah. Did you saw him go already?
No,
No.
we're moving things around.
Oh,
because
okay, I'm
Bill
sorry.
has-
I
Bill
was
has
trying
to
to,
leave.
I was trying to get the opportunity to sneak out. My
No,
bad.
Bill has to leave. So
Yep,
we
I
want to
gotcha.
talk about the iMacs and we
Okay.
want to talk about handshakes. So
Yeah,
he
sorry
can
about
get out
that.
of here.
Page 41
So,
Page 41.
so, yeah, 41.
be the iMac computer lab.
Yeah, just my normal thing. I don't personally feel we need to spend that much money on IMAX.
So this is from part of this money's from our PC replacement plan. The other part of it is from the academic program over there. So this is a Mac lab that we're replacing, refreshing the computers in there. They're expensive to buy the Ultra Studios, which are what's needed for the programming side of things, and also to be able to teach Swift programming on. So Swift is a language that's used to develop everything in iOS and WebOS, all those pieces that are on the Apple side. These Ultra Studios are also the quality machine to be able to do Adobe Creative development, design, and so forth within Lightroom and video editing and so forth, Illustrator. So the advantage to these is, you know, we talked here a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago about, you know, our average computer we replace about every 4 years. The Mac computers, that's not the case. The Mac lab hasn't been replaced for quite some time. So that's the investment. It's for curriculum that we currently have to get updated equipment into the room. So that's what the TFA is for. You know, can roll with it from there. But that's the price of a Mac Ultra Studio.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
I have a question. These Mac computers, you talk about them being with Swift programming and so forth. Business wise, what's your best calculation that these are used in business? Because last time I looked anyway, and I'm not being sarcastic at all, there could have been a change, but last time I looked, it was not Apple that was out in business. It was IBM style type.
Well, that was the case quite a while ago. I would say, sure, there are businesses that are all Windows machines, and there are businesses that are all Macs. With the prevalence of Microsoft 365 and the way that they've developed their cloud offering for the Microsoft Office tools, more and more businesses, a significant number of businesses, are becoming hardware or OS agnostic. So you can run Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel completely on a Mac, which I do, or on a Windows machine. So I would say that there certainly was a time when Mac Apple computers were kind of relegated to grade schools and maybe some newspapers for editing, but that's not the case anymore. With your average business investing quite heavily in social media and in their marketing, the Mac computers have certainly taken a larger portion of the market. I can't tell you, Trustee Winslow, exactly what percentage of the market Macs are in. I can tell you though that the number one selling cell phone on the market is an iPhone, and that's where Swift coding codes within those apps in the iPhone. And so the amount of development that's done in the Apple App Store, the iPhone App Store, and the Mac App Store is pretty significant.
Yeah, and certainly in creative and design industry, it's industry standard.
It's all Mac.
You're not going to find people in video editing or software graphics, and of course you can't build an app that is an iOS app on anything but you can build it on an iPad. Build an app in that environment, which we want our students to work on.
And I don't disagree with that. I'm just telling you.
I move that we recommend the purchase of 21 Apple iMac computers for the lab, not to exceed $75,579.
I'll second that motion. I guess I can.
Sure you can.
I'll second the motion.
Is somebody on mute?
For the tiniest bit of discussion, how many students do we have in that program using those specifically for?
How many?
20 plus an instructor's computer is what our standard classroom is for those.
And then the
I could tell
other
you.
ones that we're going to place in our own campus for
So those are, this is the 21 for the Mac lab. So we've got open lab areas around campus that we kind of pepper random back here
refurbish.
and there, but there's windows that gives us.
But these are not for that.
These are not for that. These are for the classroom.
Discuss, are we at discuss?
Go ahead.
I struggle sometimes putting things in a way that no one will be offended because I tend to speak very forwardly. But I did not find this in that 70-some page document that you sent me as your master technology plan.
Sure.
I did not find these nor the past 3 items I've actually voted for as far as replacement. I have no doubt that you have a plan, but it is not part of the plan that you sent me. And therefore I cannot.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that you didn't read that
I
in
read
the
it.
plan, that you didn't catch that in the plan.
Took me a
We
while.
talked
but I
very,
read it.
well, that's a technology master plan, strategic master plan. It speaks very clearly in the technology strategic master plan about closing the gaps of digital literacy. And these are the technologies. This is not what I sent you for a technology master plan was not a task list. It was a strategic plan, and how we get there are the things that I bring to you. So
I
I
understand
guess
what
I
you
wasn't
said.
inclined to provide a task list of what our daily tasks were, as opposed to this is a strategic plan.
Any other comments? Guess we'll take a vote at this time.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
No.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
No.
Okay, the vote is 4-2 with one, Kim Braungart not being here. I forgot to do that before, sorry. Okay, so we move to 9G, the handshake item that was on the consent
57.
agenda.
Okay,
And
thank
Shelby, you
I
had
guess-
questions?
Mr. Young can just explain it again. I just want to have a vote on it, drive on.
Sure. I mean, I can talk about Handshake. This has my name listed on it because it's software licensing. This is something that's handled through student services and our career services department. But so Handshake is, I mean, it's a college. It's like the #1 site right in the US for college students to connect with future employers, college students to find a job. There's nationwide, there's about 15 million or 18 million students who use Handshake. There's 500,000 employers that use Handshake to connect with students as they come out of college to get jobs. So this it's the #1 recruiting tool used for college graduates. So we provided in our career services department that opportunity for students to engage through Handshake for future employers to find jobs as they leave here. So that's
Employers
it.
in the
That's
business market and
Yep.
schooling market.
yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. Oh, you mean the employers? The
That's-
employers are the
this is
business market. This is
Okay, I'm
just this is like their Indeed or it's
Right, well,
specific
just
to
reading the
college
brief
students.
description, I've never.
I got
heard
you.
of
Yeah, I
Handshake,
didn't.
so.
Yeah, like I said, this is the
It's like their portal to our students.
I see
Shelby,
the
if I
number
could-
of students that have used it, but how many have actually been placed?
this again, that would be the career services department. I don't have that answer. We handle the licensing for it. So I can't answer that and she's not here.
I just want to mention when we were looking at filling our final accounting position, it was an entry-level position. I got a hold of Emporia State, Newman, and a couple other colleges, and they all refer me to their Handshake. So there's a lot of people using it.
Any other comment? If not, we'll have a vote.
Is this the only,
Well,
is this the
I
only
would
program that we
move
have?
to approve it.
and I'll second the motion.
Is this the only?
This is the
replacement program?
this is
Pulled it
the
out.
primary placement program.
We have to make a motion, which is okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and second.
I'll second.
David.
Oh, sorry.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
That's 6-0 with Kim Brungart not being here.
And I apologize. I do. I've got a.
You got like 2 minutes
Okay, thank you.
or is it too late? That's all right. I
I mean,
was
those
gonna
are the
ask, I can send an
So-
email or something.
Because
Or
Mary
send it to
Martha
you.
had some questions too, so send them to me and we'll get all of that to you.
That'll
Okay.
work. That'll work.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay. Was that it?
I
Next?
think that was the,
Yeah, I was wondering if.
oh,
we
no,
should
I'm
do
sorry. The
the-
2-year, the performance report is
Yeah.
B now. We're back to B.
Mohammed?
Now we will listen to you.
Thanks, Bill.
No,
Sorry
that would
we
be great.
delayed you.
That's all right.
Mrs. Good, can you hear me?
Oh, no.
Only you, Eastham, only you.
28.
Thank you. It's page 29, 28 and 29. This is, and you see this every year I come with this and present it to you and ask you to vote for it. This is the second year of the bridge agreement with the Kansas Board of Regents. Many years ago, we signed an agreement on performance, just like every community college and technical college did. It is required by statute. That agreement ran out about 3 years ago. And so instead of redoing the agreement, which the Board of Regents wants to do, is in the process of doing, they simply put a standstill agreement as it was and did it year by year. This is year 2 of that. What you see is of the 6 indicators that we negotiated some time ago. On 3 of them, we met the benchmark, and the other 3 we did not. And that means that we are eligible for at least 90% of any additional performance funding that we are getting. I say at least 90% because when you get to that point of 90%, you are allowed and eligible to come in and ask the board to reconsider because of any extenuating circumstances, which is what we did last year, and we got 100%. And this is what we plan to do this year as well. There are a couple of things, especially when you look at the number of degrees and the number of third-party credentials, which are totally dependent on the overall number of students here, in other words, enrollment. While the enrollment went down, those baselines did not change. So that's the argument we made last year. It was pretty successful. I'm fairly confident that we'll make it this year and get back to 100%. That being said, I'll be happy to take easy questions.
Only easy.
Only easy one. My boss is here for the hard ones. Okay. But I would ask, I mean, this is one of the statutory responsibilities that these things go to the Board of Trustees and they say, well, send it off to the board. So I'd appreciate your accepting it and letting me take it to the board and argue with them in a nice way.
It's not a tough argument, really.
I do have one question, though, where it said the recommended action, and it said no later than July the 15th, 2021. Should that read 2022?
It should, and that is entirely my fault. I
Okay.
was the one who sent the draft to Dr. Krull.
I should have caught it.
I should have fixed it. There is another mistake there, which I'll point out proactively because I'm a nice guy. That was also my fault and not Dr. Krull's. If you look on page 29 in item 4, which is the, not item 4, it is item 3, which is award of third-party credentials. The arrow should be going down. It is going up. We did not reach the benchmark, so the arrow should be looking downwards. So that is also entirely my fault. We are going to go ahead and fix that. I'm sorry.
We increased over last year, but we didn't
Right,
hit
go
the
over the
baseline
Okay.
These are the credentials or the,
certificates.
These are the
Industry.
CMAs, the
these are
CMAs.
required reporting so that this has to do with funding or not?
Yes and no, and I differ a little bit for this reason, that this, if there is any additional funding that the state has, they use this to give it to us. In the past, as long as I remember, there hasn't been a whole lot of additional funding, so we are required to do it. Does it result in any additional dollars? So far, I haven't seen it. So think of it as a unfunded mandate.
Yeah. I move that we accept the year 2 academic year 2021 report for the performance agreement bridge period between the Kansas Board of Regents and Butler Community College, and approves its transmission to the staff of the Kansas Board of Regents no later than July 15th, 2022.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Shall I take the vote?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, it passes 6-0 and Kim Brungart's not here. Okay, we had 9C, athletic insurance review.
I put a copy, a topic for action at each of your places. We have to renew our athletic sports accident policy and catastrophic policy on an annual basis. And TC was able to get those renewal rates from ICI the end of this past week. You'll note that the basic coverage for all sports will be up about 5.8% from last year, but the catastrophic sports accident policy is down about 13.5%. So when it all nets out, the cost for 2022, 2023 will be $206,149, which is up. Last year was, it's up overall. Last year it was $199,751. So it's up about, $7,000 from last year to this year. These total costs of premiums are assuming that we play a full fall and spring sports season. When we were delayed, because of COVID, and then the next year when we came back, we didn't play a full sports season, so the cost was reduced. But we would recommend that you go ahead and approve this amount of $206,149 for this next academic year. So we've got athletic and catastrophic sports insurance in place.
This is not covered by the plan we just.
No, it's not. It's separate. It's separate like the workman's comp is.
It's separate for every college.
It would depend
Well,
on
that's
the
what I need to
insurance. It would depend on the insurance carriers that they
Well,
have. But it's,
all community colleges that I'm aware of in the state do have sports accident policies to cover.
And they're not available through our
Herb? No.
new insurance.
No.
No.
Okay.
I move that we recommend that the board approve to pay athletic insurance and catastrophic insurance from the athletic budget in the amount of $206,149 for the academic year of 2022, 2023.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and second.
2 seconds.
And 2
Mary, do you have
seconds.
a grandbaby coughing in the background trying to second?
Just a second. Did you want to hear? Can you say hello? Say hello.
Say hello, Shelby.
Trustee Good,
Mary, we're ready to vote.
I just.
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, the vote's 6-0 with Kim Brungart and what is she? Absent at this point. Okay, we have 9D, bill and warrants from page 39 for discussion.
Yeah, I just had some questions. This is the
Expenditure report.
expense report we get a week or two before the budget every time.
If you'll send those to me,
Can we do that in a
we'll
work
dig them
session
out.
or something? Or
Say again.
Can we talk about it in a work session? Would that be better?
We can, or I'll just email everybody back
Okay,
the
that'd be fine.
answers.
That'd
Because
be
Mary
fine.
Martha had a couple of questions on
Okay,
some of it
okay.
too. So, yeah,
Because-
when you get, when you have those questions, if you want to send them to me ahead of time, then if I can't answer them, I can get a hold of the department person or the
Okay.
whoever and, and dig out the details and
Okay.
stuff. So
Yeah, I didn't get onto them till Friday night or so.
that's fine. Just send them, just email them to me, Shelby, and I'll get all the information back to people.
So we just-
Okay,
Are we going to vote on
Yeah.
these then at work session or now?
Oh, do we need to vote to pass it? I mean, it's
Yeah.
already been paid.
They've
Okay.
already, they've
So-
been paid.
Okay.
okay.
I move to approve them.
I'll
Okay.
second.
They've already been approved. I mean,
So we have a motion and a second to approve the bills and warrants or expenditures that have already been paid with discussion at the work session.
Well,
Trustee-
or- yeah,
or
or
whatever.
I'll email.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Email
whatever,
or
yeah.
or returned by Dr. Kroll.
Trustee Good,
Mary Martha,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, 6-0. Kim Brungard absent. 9E, if we go back to that, was in reference to the BKD overhead and athletics analysis, and I think Shelby had
I brought
comments.
this up a couple of months ago in March. I think if you ever want a copy. And this is from David Armstrong, I think back in November. But long and the short of it, it's two other options. I would just like to go ahead and approve it as a board to instruct, Kent and the administration to go ahead and proceed with it. I'm not asking it to be done next week or next month, I just want it to be on the books that we want to do this and proceed. There's an overhead allocation, and David said it's a deeper dive in indirect cost allocation, which can be done by program types, locations, and other allocation methods. And that's a $5,400 initial build. It's an annual cost after that of $1,350. And then athletics, it allows us to review the cost per sport, cost per athlete, trend analysis, and also layer a cost to educate each student. It shows revenue streams based on room and board, ticket sales, fundraising, other unique revenue or costs associated with athletic programs. And lastly, they can provide benchmark data related to athletic operations that provide context for our operations compared with others. And that's $5,400 also. And we do have $100,000 budgeted for BKD, of which the primary overhead, I think, was 40-some thousand that we approved.
Yeah.
I don't think it was 50. I think the number in my
Yeah,
head
I
was
think
40
we-
something.
I think we had a little excess
Yeah.
that, yeah, we get to,
But I assume maybe this bid might be slightly higher now because it's been a few months.
yeah,
6
what
months.
I would suggest, what I would recommend is that you let me visit with David Armstrong, who's our representative, and see where we're at. And if those prices are still valid, when the right time based on where we are in the implementation of the program economic analysis, and come back to you with an update to that.
I appreciate that, but I would like to go ahead and approve it to be done, and then you can follow up and schedule and just.
And
have
you
it
can
be-
work it.
I would just like it to be officially directed by the board for you guys to just go ahead and do it and then proceed. And if it doesn't start till October, I would just like to have this data by budgeting next year. So if we
Yep.
could keep that
What
in
if,
mind.
what if though, like personnel wise or like implementation wise? Because I think of programs that we implemented, like in the Wichita Public School system. And it took, I mean, everybody was working their tails off, but it still took, maybe year, 2 year to implement, 3 year to implement, 4 year to implement. And it finally didn't get implemented for 6 or 7 years. I mean, I agree with where you're going.
Right. This is just why I want to make it official. I want this done.
Is that a motion? Did you make a motion?
I move to approve
Well,
the
I wasn't
BKD overhead and athletic
Well, we're
analysis.
supposed to vote.
Well,
I mean,
well,
we're
you
supposed
can-
to motion and then second
I was
and then
just
discuss.
asking.
No, you're good. You're good. I just want to make it official. Hey, I want this done. And then let's just keep the ball rolling and we'll get it done eventually. Because it's good to know, the more we know, the more informed, better business decisions we can make.
So are you saying that it's going to cost $10,800
Correct.
plus $1,350
Per year.
per year?
Yeah. And it might be $2,000 more now.
Well, I have no idea.
Everything
That was-
else
That
is
was the original estimate in November that they gave me.
Yeah, in November of
Okay,
last year.
so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and second. We're ready to vote.
A little discussion, Linda. I'd like to just make a quick
Okay.
comment. We had this issue was part of our discussion as a board in November when we approved the BKD package. It was thrust on us unexpectedly. It wasn't approved then, not because, at least my perception was, not because anybody was opposed to the package, but I think more because it was premature We needed to get through the first package we were engaging BKD to provide and then go from there. And I don't see that we're in a materially different position right now than we were in November. We're closer to getting that package from BKD. And I have no reason to think that we won't want to incorporate this additional package once we get it. But in my view, it's still premature to be saying we're going to do it and then setting a timeline that we have. I mean, we're just throwing a date out there. We don't know how reasonable it is or not until we get the first package done. So I'm not in favor of the proposal right now. And that's not to say I don't think this is information that'll be valuable, but I think we're jumping the gun to try to approve it and require it and set a very vague deadline without knowing all the information.
Did you set a
My-
deadline, Shelby?
Well, my position is I'm not setting a deadline. I'm just setting the initiative. If I want this done, if you guys could work it out in your timeline as you wish without board oversight of that, that's fine. But it has been 7 months since we approved the last one and we still have no data.
Right.
And in November or December of 19, I asked Dr. Kroll and Kent and Laura, said I would like all programs, how they budget, what their expenses are, what their incomes are, how they create their yearly budget. I would like all that for the past 3 years. I want to know how each program here, each department makes their budget, which I never received any of that. But I mean, information like that has been 3 years, but this one, I would like to approve it and then continue down the road of getting all the data so we can make better decisions.
Okay, any other comment?
Well, for my part, I think we need this data desperately. And I'm so sorry that it takes so long, but we have a wonderful firm in BKD who has been assisting us every step of the way. And I am just sure with no timeline, it shouldn't be a problem to vote for it, to make sure that it gets done.
And David did say they have most of the athletic information already. And if we would look at the 32 to 36 pages we get every month, we have, every check, a record of every check written in every department. So a lot of the data is here for that kind of stuff. I mean, we have how many M&Ms were bought at McDonald's or at Walmart this month for the Grizzly football game. So, I mean, we do have the data and it's right here, but I'm not trying to say I want it done 2 months from now either. It's just,
Oh, Mary Martha, did you have a comment?
I do. Folks, I think it's time that we do this. I don't want to see a timeline on it, but I want to go ahead and approve this and see what our expenses. And I think it's going to help the budget process. So I'm going to go ahead and vote yes on this motion.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Trustee Jolly,
No.
trustee Rhodes,
No.
trustee Winslow,
Yes, I think it's a very important part, and I'm just appalled, I guess, or amazed that no one would want to vote for that, but it's okay, we can have our own opinions.
trustee Shearer,
I'm voting no because I just don't think it's the right time. I believe in the program. I just don't think it's the right time.
trustee Smith.
yes. And I will bring this up again when we have a full board and have another vote.
Trustee Brungart.
Yes, the vote is 3-3 without trustee Brungart. And so at this point it fails, I think is how that works.
But at least
Okay.
we have on
If you
record who
never
supports it
implement
and who
there's never
does
time to
not.
get it.
And
It
that's the
takes years
important
to
thing.
implement it. You have to implement it to get it years later. If you never say yes, it never gets started.
In response to what you had to say, Julie, I would say that I don't want to delay this meeting a lot more and go back and forth, but I am new to the board. I haven't seen anything from the BKD report. I've heard about it. I've heard about you guys talking about this. I would just like to see what we're getting to begin with and how it's going to be used and whether it pleases you, because most things don't.
When do you,
So,
well, I think that was too personal for your
Well,
own
I will say
status,
that.
wouldn't you say? When do you think we'll have something based on the first data that we've already bought?
Say this.
Fall. You have a date, that's September, October, November. Just-
The next step is for us to get with the deans, which I reported that we're going to do on July 5th. A lot depends on how soon they can commit to time. I can't commit times for our deans. I don't know what their work schedules are. So that's something I need to work with the academic department on.
And this is something that it requires a lot of work up front, and after it's done, originally, it's easier to maintain year over year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first,
It's important.
right, right.
What we talked about internally is it's obviously it's important for our folks, our deans and the folks that information is going to impact their
Right.
departmental, the impact there. They need to review it and make sure that the information's accurate and correct. If there's any anomalies or things that, that stand out before we, they need to review it and, and oversee it before we can present it to you guys.
And Linda, BKD is our audit firm that does our yearly audit and gives us, the big thick book.
And I have a little history with their work too elsewhere. So I'm not totally sold.
Right.
And I would like to see what the information shows us. I mean, a lot of times in programs like this, you have to tweak them to finally get the information you're really wanting. And so I know that'll take some time. I'm not against doing the athletics piece. I'm just wanting to see what we're getting to begin with.
I would like the locations as well, because we addressed Council Grove and then we're given a number, and then later after redoing all the numbers, it was different. Then same with McConnell. And we've been told the last 2 months in a row that this is on the horizon. They are going to do we're being told by administration they will do it, but we as a board are afraid to say, okay, go ahead and do it. We want you to do it. You're telling us you're going to do it.
We'll do what?
Do the athletics and the location.
Yeah, one thing I would suggest, and I understand, you said it's been 7 months or 8 months since it was approved, and that I understand why that's.
I'm not mad about it.
No, but I understand why it's frustrating. And what I would like to commit to is bringing you a monthly update on what's happening, so that we're not going 2 or 3 more months and say, oh, we haven't made any progress yet. If we haven't made any progress, we'll tell you. But I think it would be good for us to give the board a monthly update on our progress on this.
But you have said the last couple of months that the athletic is in your purview, that you are going to work on.
Yes, all along.
But we as a board aren't willing to say, okay, please do it. It's odd to me that
Very.
we're not willing to even say, okay, go ahead and do it. That's a good idea. So, but I'm happy to have a vote again next month, but there's full 7 and see what happens and drive it on.
Okay, moving forward then, I think we need to ask for a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the balance of the consent agenda.
I would second.
Okay,
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, next we have supplemental information, key performance indicator update on page 64.
No changes.
No changes.
No changes to that. You've got KPIs. There's a thank you note. And then, a little bit left on the board calendar is about all. So
Okay.
nothing really. We've talked about the statement of revenues and expenditures in the finance report. So nothing really to talk about there.
Okay,
Don't
so
forget
maybe
the prison
mention-
date.
On page 72, I really like how you've approached underrepresented populations by their income status. Hey, you guys, what's your income? Okay, we're addressing you regardless of whatever other minutia we could include. Hey, you guys are lower income. How can we help? I like that as just a general, I think that's neat.
It doesn't define anything else other than lower income.
Financial status.
Yeah, I just think that's a refresh.
Okay, at this time, we'll consider an executive session for the purpose of discussing employer-employee negotiations and non-elected personnel pursuant to open meeting
we have a quick
exceptions for
break?
said
Page
matters.
79.
And there's been a request for a quick break, so.
That's what I was looking
I think what we did
I know
last
you
time
like
was go
reading.
ahead. Do you want
Make
to take
the
a break
motion.
and then do the motion and go into exec session? Or do you want to complete the motion and then take a break and then?
How about if we complete the motion,
So
take the break and then
And then we
state
can
the
identify
time
the
that
time.
we're,
Yeah.
we're in
Okay.
and out. Okay,
Okay.
So I have a motion
and
to,
I'll second,
okay.
or you
And
seconded it. I think, didn't you?
Somebody has to read
don't,
that whole
don't trip over
shebang.
this,
Yeah.
guys, okay?
You gonna read it, Dave?
Did Dave read
Make
the
the
motion?
motion. Come on.
Or Dave-
You like reading.
I thought, okay,
I just outlined.
I thought that,
Just read it.
okay. I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss negotiations pursuant to the open meetings exception for matters related to employer-employee negotiations and discussion of non-elected personnel pursuant to the open meetings exceptions for matters of non-elected personnel, which, if discussed in open meeting, might violate their right to privacy. And that the members of the board, President Kim Kroll, Bill Rickenbaugh, Shelley Stoltz, Dr. Tom Neville,
Phil's
and,
not here, so.
and Kent
Yeah.
Williams be included. The meeting will resume in approximately 60 minutes.
Second.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, we'll take a short break.
Take a short break and then we'll go into executive session. So. Yep, so.
Oh, man.
What's the matter? What's the matter there, Dave?
I'm getting too old. Although
You didn't finish that statement from all the movies, but thank you.
I,
All the Getting too old for
I went to the chiropractor yesterday though, and he straightened out my knee that I was having trouble with.
Chiropractors are really great when you need them. I mean, they
Oh,
know their
oh
stuff.
yeah. I
Great if
used
they
to not
work.
believe it.
That's brutal.
Especially with his family.
Gotta go to grandma's. I'm like, no, I've been working in the heat all day. I wanna.
We got a wrap? Yep. Okay, so 8:21. All right.
So we went into executive session at 7:42 and out at 8:21.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Forrest, are you ready to end?
We still got a forum.
We do. Yeah, you just have to have 4.
Yep.
Trustee Winslow,
Yep.
trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
I'm gonna start singing this song.
Okay, vote to adjourn, 6-0.
Thank you.
Kim
Thank you,
Brungart
everybody.
gone.
See you guys later.
Thanks all. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks,